men, you know,
Absolutely.
everyone out there building these airplanes, it's not as challenging, particularly if you take advantage of your quick build kits.
Right, yeah, the quick build kit, for people that might not be familiar, is a kit that's partially assembled, a lot of significant assembly done. You pick it up and go from there, and still meets all the requirements for all the federal regulations and whatnot to do that. You can also build it from the ground up yourself if you want to, so lots of options there. We have folks that are building airplanes that have never built anything before, and they build beautiful, amazing airplanes that they fly, build it in their basement or their garage. It's just a really, really cool group of people to be a part of, and just a whole lot of fun.
Have you ever done any studies on what the average time might be for an amateur builder?
The average time to build an airplane, and that can be anywhere from, depending on the airplane, anywhere from years to the newer models can be built in somewhere between a year and 18 months for somebody that's dedicated and works on it.
Yeah.
So as they've refined and have the plans and the kits have improved over time and become more technologically advanced, it's become a shorter and shorter period of time.
Wow, very good.
What did you pull up here on your phone?
I don't know if we can get it or not, but my granddaughter, Ella, got in and got the RB green. Can somebody grab that? Oh, there she is.
Well done.
That's the RB green. She sat my airplane one day and I took her around the patch. She was thrilled.
I remember
She's
you
5.
sent me that picture, Rob, and
Yep.
just that was really a cool one. The pictures of people, kids, adults alike, who come back, you see a little video shot or a photo, and they've got just this great big ear-splitting grin on their faces. That's what makes it all worthwhile.
As we wrap this up, let folks know, where are you located if they want to stop by the booth?
So we're located just at the intersection of a lot of the home-built type aircraft are over there, not too far from Show Center. Come on by. You know, we've got an RV-10 and an RV-14 there. We have an amazingly airbrush painted RV-8 by artist John Starr, and he does the most. You have to see it as truly a work of art. Amazing, intricate painting on an airplane.
Sold. I'm on my way over there. Hey, thank you so much for coming by the set.
Oh,
we
thanks
appreciate
for having
it.
us. It was good to see you.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more from Sun and Fun 2021. We'll take a break for these messages.
Thanks for the ride along, Captain. I've never been in one of these before, even though Geico has been... Oh, here we go. Here we go.
You got cut off there. What were you saying?
Oh, no.
Maybe the Geico's been proudly serving the military for over 75 years? Is that what you wanted to say?
Mm-hmm.
I have to say, you seem a lot chattier on TV.
Geico, proudly serving the military for over 75 years.
You okay back there, buddy?
People ask me, you know, why AeroShell? Why do you fly behind AeroShell? Because I've flown behind it my entire life. My father flew with AeroShell. Wrap it up as peace of mind. Peace of mind.
And we're very proud to be able to represent AeroShell. They're our biggest sponsor. They've been great to the team.
It's a proven product. I've flown so many hours behind it. It's one less thing I worry about.
One of the most important things is safety, because for years we've used AeroShell oil and continue to do so at this time. We use the AeroShell W120, which has been a fantastic oil for us, and it's just got great properties, and the lubrication that it does for the engines, we never doubt what it's doing and how it's working for us. And we push the engines pretty hard. They build a fantastic product. Their engineering department, the formulations that they come up with that oil and the grease that we use on the aircraft are better than anything in the world.
You might get her ready.
And we're back. Stephanie Strickland, I am just so excited to see you solo. I hope there'll be cameras mounted all over the airplane when you finally pull back on that stick and you lift into the air alone. Larry, your first solo, I'm sure it was one of the most thrilling things in your entire life.
You never forget it. You absolutely never forget it. And you know, you're normally the way that works, you know, you're doing some takeoff and landings with the instructor, and the instructor says, pull over here a minute. And so you pull over there, and he opens the door and gets out. And I said, what are you doing? And he says, go. Be careful.
Do you have your shirt tail?
No, I didn't. No,
I
do you?
have my shirt tail.
That's a custom.
Jill found it. She framed it. It's in my office. So, you know what's going to happen?
I do. I absolutely do. I'll be prepared for it. And
Old shirt.
I just, it's a sense of you're a little bit nervous and excited all at the same time, right? I'm sort of psyching myself out in a good way, and I'm just doing the best I can with Sporty's Pilot Shop to get through the ground school course that they offer, which you, Rob Ryder, actually do a spectacular job of narrating. I've learned a ton.
Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. And so
we've been doing that since 1987.
It's great instruction. It's absolutely fantastic. So for everyone out here who loves aviation and general aviation as well as military aviation, we're all just having a fantastic time, I have to tell you. There's a little bit of something for everyone out here.
And the crowd is significant, and the weather has been holding out. We got baked pretty well on Tuesday here, but there you see the Lakeland. That's the METAR, the current meteorological stuff. Go ahead and read it down there, Larry.
Well, we got wind out of the east at 260. Visibility is 10 miles, broken unlimited. You can read all of that. 82 degrees is the temperature. I'm looking right now for a giant C-17 in the sky that should be headed this way on board a series of Black Dagger paratroopers who are going to do a little demo for us here.
I heard they're about 3 miles out. I got one ear kind of half on the boss on George Klein over at Control Tower. And,
taxiing by now, F-22.
Oh, yeah, the Raptor's out there taxiing by. That's pretty cool. One of those fifth-generation fighters.
Right.
Larry.
The C-17, courtesy of McCord Air Force Base, the 62nd Airlift Wing out there. They've already done their Woody drop. You say, what is a Woody? That's a wind drift indicator. Drop some crepe paper weighted out of the airplane. The jump master on board, as well as the jump master handling the parachute landing area, watches where they go, and that tells them about where to leave the airplane to adjust for the winds and other conditions. So that's been done. So I think we're just waiting now for jumpers away.
I just heard that they've been given a hot target. That means from the ground coordinator for the team, that means they're prepared. The airspace is clear. It's safe to jump, and in just a moment they'll be coming over. And those wind drift indicators really give the jump master an idea of where they land, because they throw them out directly over the drop zone target. Right. And when they drift with the wind, they know then they can offset their departure point a like distance the other direction or upwind to give the jumpers a better chance to land directly on the target.
We're going to do something a little different on the opening here because we're using the Black Daggers. You're going to see 4 or 5 of them come out first, even before the flag, in full combat gear. They're going to pop some smoke down here, and it's going to look like the Black Daggers are invading Sun and Fun. And then following those jumpers will be our flag, and we'll do our national anthem here with Peyton Batia, who will be singing our national anthem for us. They will be circled, the jumpers and the solo, by Mr. Gene McNeely in the T6. He'll be smoking all the way around. So that's what you can expect here in just a few minutes, I hope, or seconds.
Have you ever had a chance to jump with one of the teams?
I have. I've jumped with the Golden Knights tandem jumps 3 times. And the first 2 times it was literally sensory overload. I didn't know how to handle it. But the third time I kind of got used to it. It was over Florida. But the second time I didn't even know it until afterwards. I was backflipped by Billy Van Solen coming out of the airplane. Didn't know. High overhead at over 5,000 feet. There's the 17.
Right. Black Daggers are a little bit different than the Golden Knights. They say if I can see the ground, I'm jumping. Golden Knights got a little bit of difference, but they are comprised of entirely, incidentally, of volunteers from throughout the Army Special Operations community. They have a lot of different backgrounds and various military specialties, but they all volunteer for the Black Daggers team. They're called the Global Warriors, and they love to. I don't see our smoke that has been popped quite yet. Now, the initial thing was Rob and Steph are going to throw the jumpers out with the combat gear on. They're going to deploy. Then the flag jumper will come out, but the Warriors will open very low and the flag very high. But we still have about 1 minute and 30 seconds to have our national anthem sung. So we're a little bit in the dark here because we cannot see straight up. I'm assuming the aircraft is about overhead now.
I'm watching where everyone else is looking. You know what? When in doubt, find a photographer. There's a gentleman sitting in front of us with a long lens, so I figure if it's whatever direction it's pointed is where the action is.
Good
Just a little tip for you guys, pro tip.
Somebody call me jumpers away if you would, please. They should be out by now. 260.
We're looking for it. Steph, have you had a chance to skydive yourself?
I went with the Canadian Skyhawks, and it was one of the
fun,
most. Oh my! Are you kidding? I was really actually quite nervous about it, but I just knew I had to do it. So it was what a privilege to be able to jump with such talented people.
Yes, indeed, and fun people at that. The Black Daggers are out. They're calling jumpers away.
I see smiles. I see smiles on the crowd. The jumpers are out.
So they're jumping quite a distance away, and they're going to use those ram air parachutes. They have openings in the leading edge of the parachute to allow it to fill with air. That makes it almost like an aircraft wing, and then it becomes very, very controllable with a set of risers, one on the right, one on the left, with the handles attached to them. They can pull on the right riser and turn to the right, left to the left, and if they pull on both of them, then they can collapse the rear end of that parachute to almost stall it like an aircraft wing upon landing, and you'll see them do that as they land. Forward speed of about 17 miles an hour, but as they leave the airplane before the chutes are deployed, they're traveling at about 180 miles an hour, using their arms and their legs to control their direction and distance. And then, of course, once the parachute is deployed, then it's very, very controllable.
We've got good views here of the
there we go.
Under canopy. And as they get a little bit lower, we'll be able to see the flag deployed, and then we'll do the national anthem.
Ask them this morning what their minimum, we were worried about the fog and the clouds this morning. Ask them what their minimum was, and they said they can do what we call a hop and pop at 2,000 feet. Just get right out and deploy the chute, and that's it. I might tell you that our singer today, Peyton Batia, is a sophomore at Polk Pre-College Collegiate Academy, where she is part of your musical theater program. Peyton enjoys singing and performing, as well as playing competitive soccer and tennis. And she plays competitive soccer for the Auburndale Scream. Thrilled to have the opportunity to sing here. Have you performed in any musicals at the school yet?
So we're looking now with Gene McNeely's making the smoke. It's a tradition at air shows to do this.
Here comes our first jumpers off to the left. There's the first two of the commandos in full combat gear, including the sacks, which they should drop about 100 feet above the ground. Let them hit first so they don't have to carry that weight with them to the ground. You see them between their legs.
And that gear sometimes weighs as much as the jumper himself.
Exactly.
The flag is out.
Yeah, okay, the flag is out. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please rise, remove your cover for the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright
Thank you so much, Peyton Batia, for singing our national anthem. Beautiful rendition, my dear. Thank you. That was a 500 square foot flag that was being flown by our jumper, and that was Sergeant First Class Jeff Brown bringing in the flag. We should see we got to get the C-17 down here off to your left on the ground, and then Gene McNeely, the gentleman that was circling the paratroopers, will be doing just a very, very short tease in his T6 Texan. You know him very well, don't you, Rob?
Indeed, Gene McNeely spent a lot of time as the slot pilot with the AeroShell Aerobatic team. That team now in their 32nd year, I think, of working together. And Gene has been a long-time Reno air racer, now doing some solo work and working out at Reno still. But as we see the C-17, I want you to look at this airplane.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to see a demonstration of this, but as we watch it land, those of you who are watching on the web, look at the size of those engines. 40,000, almost 41,000 pounds of thrust generated by each. They're the military version of the engines that are on the Boeing 757 jetliner. And these 4 engines and that airframe allow this aircraft to reach speeds of about 515 miles per hour. It is the 3rd most expensive airplane ever built. And that's about as much noise as that airplane's ever going to make right there.
Look at all of the spoilers on top of the wing. The cascade thrust reversers are open, directing the thrust forward to help slow the airplane down. And the big, what we call barn door flaps, that allows that airplane to land in very, very short airfields. The C-17, and we thank the 62nd Airlift Wing out of McCord Air Force Base for allowing it to come here and act as our jump platform. And it's going to do its own demo a little bit later on, and you will be amazed because this airplane looks and acts like a fighter airplane.
Yeah, don't want to give up too much away. But right there's Gene McNeely.
You gotcha. The noise of that is from the propeller, not the engine. The propeller tip almost reaching supersonic speeds as Gene goes up into giant airborne loop. Used to call this the Barnstormer loop, because that's what the early barnstormers in aviation did. They would fly in over a town, do a loop or two, land in a cornfield, and for $5 they'd take you for a ride in an airplane. Big loop. Gino comes back now for what we call a half Cuban 8. I want you to watch him as he rolls the airplane right side up now on the way down. He's going to cross show center right there, and now he's going to pull back on the stick once again. He's going to do the same thing on the right. Once he comes over the top, he'll start down the backside. He'll roll the airplane upright, and that will be the completion of a Cuban 8. An 8 lying on its side if we didn't have a lot of wind blowing. How'd that get its name?
It got its name back in 1936 when the late Len Povey, who was training then Batista's Cuban Air Force pilots to fly aerobatics, was performing at the Miami Air Races. And he was too low at the top of a loop. And so rather than making a smoking hole in the ground coming out, Len Povey did what we saw Gene McNeely do. And he did the same thing in the opposite direction. Nobody had ever seen the maneuver before, but the smoke did carve an 8 lying on its side in the sky. When he landed, they said, "What was the name of that maneuver?" And he replied with the 2 words in Spanish, "Ocho Cubano," and the name stuck since 1936.
Gino is sponsored by Tempest. T6 is powered by those Tempest spark plugs. And for more information on Tempest spark plugs and other Tempest Aero Group products, visit them at Hangar C, and also by Honda generators. If you are in need of some generation, whether it's in your shop, your home, or out in the fields, Honda can do it all. Here comes Gene back once again with the smoke oil. Right, close to the ground. Hard pull. And a little aileron roll there.
Gene McNeely's been cleared to land, and those of you who are here listening to us over the sound system, it's Sun and Fun. How about a nice round of applause for Gene McNeely? And those of you at home can applaud too, wherever you are in the world.
C-17 has a chance to turn around, and then we're going to throw it back up to the announcer stand down by the air boss and let the members of the 62nd Airlift Wing tell you all about the C-17.
And as we wait for that, let me just share something that I'm really very excited about. And I had the opportunity and was approached by Flying Magazine last May by Lisa DeFries and Julie Boatman. They said, we would like to do a podcast. And they decided they wanted to do it based on the most widely read and popular column in the 97-year history of Flying Magazine, a column called I Learned About Flying from That, or I Laughed. And we've been doing it since December. We started back in 5 months ago. And every 2 weeks we come up with a new episode of stories based on the columns that have been written for the magazine and some that have not yet been written for the magazine. And those stories are of pilots who have gotten into dicey situations and then lived to tell about it. And the interesting thing about it is we take a 30-minute deep dive and interview these guys and ladies and find out what actually happened in greater detail with much more opportunity to stretch on the time and get those lessons learned about flying from that. And Flying Magazine every month gets letters from pilots who have read the columns and who have then gotten into similar situations, and what they learned on those from those reading those columns saved their lives. So I hope you'll join it wherever you get your podcasts, or go to flyingmag.com, go to the drop-down menu and click on I Laughed Podcast. I learned about flying from that. I am thrilled to be able to host and produce and do the interviews with the pilots and get some amazing stories.
Might mention the crew on the C-17.
And they're on the roll right now.
Oh, well, we'll throw it right up to the announcer stand for the narration by our McChord Air Force Base C-17 narrator.
Up we go.
Thanks a lot there, guys. Senior Master Sergeant Doug Reimer's up here, ready to tell you all about that Globemaster 3. Master Sergeant, take it away.
All right, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure this afternoon to describe for you today's demonstration by America's newest airlifter, the Boeing C-17 Globemaster 3. In just a few seconds, the crew will be performing a max effort takeoff. This maneuver will have the giant aircraft at an altitude of 1,000 feet well before the departure end of the runway. Let's watch as the C-17 takes to the skies here for the Sun and Fun Aerospace Expo. The United States Air Force's core airlifter and workhorse, which will continue to provide rapid global mobility for America today, tomorrow, and well into the 21st century.
How about that, ladies and gentlemen, the C-17 Globemaster 3. That airplane is the third most expensive airplane in the world, next to the B-2 bomber, the stealth bomber, and the E-3 Sentry aircraft. So that's the one that's number 3, and boy, what a great airplane it is. Superb demo. And we are now on stage and welcoming 4 guys who have been so very, very instrumental in providing great aerial entertainment to so many air shows over 30 years. And Steph Strickland, you were surrounded by the country gentlemen of the South.
This is outstanding. I love this. These guys just walked up on stage, and now I'm surrounded by the guys I love. Thank you, Team AeroShell, for being here today. How are you doing?
Oh, we're doing great. So many people here. It's fantastic to see everybody out and having a good time.
Has it been kind of interesting to see and get back out at air shows when we all basically took a year off, right?
No, it's been amazing. What's amazing is how many people flew in, and then this morning, tons of them flew out, and I think more flew in after. It's just, everybody's embracing it, and it's just been wonderful.
How's it been for you?
God bless America.
I knew he was going to say that. All right, Jimmy.
Yeah.
You flew a friend of mine. We don't use his real name, but he is known as Combat Learjet. If you're out there, sir, I know you had a fantastic flight with the guys today. He texted me, said he was having a fantastic time. He's got 1 million followers on Instagram. How was it taking him flying?
It was great. We had a lot in common, both of us airline background, and both of us had flown Learjets, and so we really hit it off good. And he was a lot of fun to be with, let him fly the airplane for a little bit, and he enjoyed the maneuvers. Like most pilots, didn't know we were quite that close, but it was fun. We had a great time.
That's outstanding. I do want to let folks know, for those of you who are out there on your second screens, your phones, you can actually give Team AeroShell a follow. And they are on Instagram, and they are really ramping that up, so you can find them at Team AeroShell Aerobatics, I believe. It is actually on the Live Air Show TV Instagram page, so we'll make sure to link to it. Guys, you flew today already, yes?
No.
No, what time are you flying today?
We're supposed like right at 5 o'clock. We're the last act today.
You know how I could have answered that, because I can hear you even in the trailer, which is where I spend most of my time when I'm not out here. I'm like, the boys are up, you can't miss it. Tell me a little bit about the airplanes that you fly.
There are all, we refer to them as veterans. Every one of those aircraft was used during World War II to train veterans who fought and protected our freedom and allow us to be here today at this event. And they're a lot of fun to fly. They're a real challenge to fly, and particularly the maneuvers that we do. We don't have afterburners, and we don't have speed brakes, so energy management is a critical portion of it, but Mark does a great job in getting us where we need to be and allows us to do the maneuvers.
How much did you pay him for that?
That was a pretty good plug. I might have to give him a little bit of power today. Yeah. He gets a little dose of reality every once in a while. He'll holler at me and say, power, power, and I said, that's all you get.
All right, you guys, Team AeroShell, love these guys so much. Rob Ryder, come on back in. Thank you guys for hustling over here. We really wanted to give the folks an opportunity to hear from you who are out watching us on TV. So
glad to be here.
Thank you, everyone.
Good to see you guys. Pretty awesome. We are in the midst of some pretty fancy airplanes. You guys are looking around here. You've got airplanes that are 70-some years old. If you'll spread out a little bit so we can take a look through the center, I want you to see the airplanes that are on either side of the center point behind us. If you'll look at the orange tails, they are F-16 Fighting Falcons, but they are very unique. They are fairly early in the production run of over 4,500 F-16s that have been built, and they're from Tyndall Air Force Base. They spent a lot of time out on the billion-dollar boneyard out in Tucson, Arizona at Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, and they have been converted. And they started doing this years ago when the Air Force needed to be able to have real airplanes flying and shoot real missiles at them for training for fighter pilots. And AIM-9 Sidewinder missiles and the Advanced Medium Range Air-to-Air Missile, the AMRAAM, are the kinds of missiles that are used to shoot down other aircraft. And the only way to really do it is to have it done with an airplane that's flying. So these airplanes are the second generation of flying targets that have been assigned to Tyndall Air Force Base in the 82nd Aerial Target Squadron. The first, they used surplus out of commission F-4 Phantom IIs by McDonnell Douglas. And then when they ran out of those, starting in 2009, they started converting the early F-16s that had exceeded their normal service life for the United States Air Force. It was in 2015 that the first F-16s became flying targets. Pilotless airplanes that will be flown and shot at by other fighter pilots training with live missiles, some although with telemetry, very advanced. But these airplanes are actually flown by safety pilots a lot of the times because the technology to radio control these airplanes sometimes kind of messes up, and so there's a safety pilot in them for all but those flights in which they will actually be shot at. So those are the ones. We have a T-38 from Shepherd Air Force Base, has over 23,000 flight hours on it. And Stephanie Strickland, we ought to put you in one of those.
Okay, does it have 2 seats? I'm game. I'm looking. I mean, I know the answer to that question.
The T-38 certainly
That's exactly
does.
right. That's exactly right. Hey, really quickly, I just pulled up on my phone because I wanted to get it right. Their Instagram is AeroShell Aerobatic Team. AeroShell Aerobatic Team. That's the one you are looking for. Okay. We just watched the C-17 fly.
Yes.
The woman flying it is named Voodoo. That's her call sign.
Voodoo.
Courtney Vitt, Major Courtney Vitt. Wonderful human being. I had a chance to get into the cockpit with her and talk a little bit about how she flies that airplane and its maneuverability. Check this out. Always a good day when I have a chance to get up on the flight deck of the C-17. This is the West Coast demo team out here, joined now by Major Courtney Voodoo Vitt. Hey, how are you doing, Voodoo?
Good, Steph. Thanks for having me today.
I have to ask you about how nimble this airplane is. You're out here flying it. This is your seat. Seeing the crowd below, tell me about what this bird can do.
This is an amazing aircraft. So the C-17 is a multi-role type aircraft. It is a multi-role in the sense of it is a heavy strategic operating aircraft. They like to call us strategic and tactical because we can go across the world, deliver goods, as well as to austere airfields, land on the dirt, short airfield operations, and go around the world. So this is an amazing aircraft, and I'm so happy to be here.
When you're actually flying the demo and you're so light and you're so, sort of cleanly configured, if you will, what's the difference between flying at an air show versus flying operationally when you're loaded up?
Absolutely. So operationally, we usually have a lot more weight in the back in the cargo compartment. The demo, we fly clean. So there's nothing in the back besides our Globemasters. We also fly it at a lighter weight profile considerably when you look at our mission set. The mission set, we have a lot more fuel on board. We have a lot more cargo on board. What that does is it allows us to move the aircraft a little bit quicker because of stall margins, just with how fast the jet's going and then how much it weighs, or the opposite, how fast the jet's going and how little it weighs at that time. So we're able to maneuver a little bit cleaner, have a little bit more buffer room for it. Our typical air show is around, we fly between 240 knots and we can go up to 310 for our high speed pass. Our slow speed is around 165 usually is what we fly it. And then our clean configure, or when we fully configure, we're going up to our approach speed, which is oftentimes around 140.
We have a lot of general aviation fans who like to watch this, so they understand angle of attack, they understand how you bank. Talk to me a little bit about how nimble this thing is when you need it to be in flight, using those sort of, pilot-friendly terms.
Absolutely. So it is a fly-by-wire aircraft. That means everything is really controlled right here by the stick, and any short movements automatically move the flight control system, which can operate anything from the rudders at the back. We have slats and flaps here, but the amazing thing about this jet is really its roll rate. We have people come in oftentimes that fly fighters and they watch us maneuver and they're like, my goodness, look at the roll rate of it. We can also pull up to 2.5 Gs in most configurations. So when we're operating the aircraft itself, it allows us to move quickly in and out of combat areas, in and out of airfields very quickly, and just maneuver the plane at very high speeds low to the ground. We can go lowest 300 feet just on a normal low level with our tech orders and move around for that. So it is extremely fast because of that fly-by-wire for its roll rate.
Voodoo, we thank you for your service. I do have to ask you though, what's the best part about flying an air show?
The best part about flying the air show truthfully is the people. I can tell you 100% that is what I loved as a little kid. And cool story here, I met a F-16 pilot when I was 7 years old. He knew my dad and we started talking. He came out to the air show yesterday, 25 years later, and I got to invite him out and he got to see me fly. So it's the people and the relationships that you make that make the air shows worthwhile. So thank you to all our fans out there and for coming to watch us too.
Voodoo and the C-17 West Coast demo team, this has been an absolute treat. So with that, thank you so much for being a part of this and being a part of the Sun and Fun Air Show.
Thank you.
And there it is. You can see it right now parked on the ramp. They're getting ready to put the jet to bed, and then they're going to make their way over to the C-17 that's here on the ramp, the Dover one. So if you want to have a chance to meet Courtney, you can do that. And by the way, since I'm interested in sharing people's Instagram handles today, she's on Instagram as Courtney Zoom Zoom. Perhaps one of my favorite handles. I do believe we are going to take a quick commercial break. Oh no, I'm hearing an audible. We are not taking a commercial break. So guess what, gentlemen? Welcome.
you're going to see a very unusual airplane. Not an unusual airplane in itself, but it's an unusual airplane the way it's flown because it's not supposed to be flown that way. You're going to see a family-type airplane. Rob, do you know who I'm talking about?
We sure know. He's from up in North Dakota.
North
South
Dakota.
It's Jim Peitz, and he's got a Bonanza that is not your uncle's Bonanza.
Now, one of the very few aerobatic Bonanzas made. And up on the stand is a fellow Luscombe pilot, a friend of mine.
I love him too. Yeah, great guy, great guy.
And that's Mr. Brian Norris. Brian, you got the microphone, my friend. Go ahead.
Thanks so much, Larry, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is my pleasure to introduce to you a man whose life has been totally consumed with aviation. From Pierce, South Dakota, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Mr. Jim Peitz and the Aerobatic Bonanza. Jim's going to be diving now in from the right at Airshow Center. Watch for the pull to the vertical, then a half roll, and then the pull over the top. Jim is the owner of Mustang Aviation, a full-service FBO located in his hometown of Pierce, South Dakota that includes charter, air freight, flight instruction, maintenance, and aircraft sales. Jim is happiest when he is in the sky, and he heavily promotes aviation everywhere that he goes. Completing the half Cuban 8 turnaround, Jim's going to dive this aircraft back down to Airshow Center to begin the inside or the Barnstormer's Loop. Since his first solo flight 46 years ago, Jim has amassed more than 16,000 hours of accident-free flight time in more than 147 different models of aircraft. This year marks Jim's 29th year of performing aerobatics, and in that time, he has entertained millions of spectators all throughout North America. Jim is probably best known for the high-G gyroscopic performances in his Extra 300L, but now he enjoys performing in his 450 Stearman, his Harvard Mark IV, the P-51 Mustang, and of course, the Aerobatic Bonanza. Jim continues to be amazed at the response that he gets when flying the Bonanza. He thinks that this is largely due to the surprise factor that people experience when they see a 4-place family airplane flying inverted, doing snap rolls, or going vertical. Jim believes that aviation is one of the greatest freedoms that we enjoy in America. And he feels that precisely controlling an aircraft through the sky while making it appear to be out of control is the pinnacle of his aviation career. Now, as Jim concludes the 8-point roll. Jim is heavily involved in the airshow industry and served for 6 years on the board of directors of the International Council of Airshows, with 2 of those being as its chairman. Jim now returning to Airshow Center for the 4-point roll. In 2014, Jim was proud to receive the highest honor that can be earned in the airshow industry. That is the ICAS Sword of Excellence. It might come as a surprise, but the Beechcraft Bonanza has been in production continuously more than any other aircraft in history. As of today, more than 17,000 Bonanzas have been built. Starting in 1947, you could buy the original Model 35 Bonanza for about $7,400. Today, you can purchase a brand new 75th Anniversary Edition G36 for just slightly more than that. While watching Jim perform for you today, keep in mind that this is not your ordinary Bonanza. This is a very rare 1986 F-33C that is fully certified for aerobatics. Down to airshow left, the nose comes up for another hammerhead turnaround. Of the more than 17,000 Bonanzas ever produced, only 177 of them were ever certified for aerobatics, with 118 of those being the C model that you see Jim flying today. As a matter of fact, this particular aircraft is serial number CJ177, which makes it one of the very last F-33Cs ever produced. This aircraft is equipped with a stock Continental IO550 engine that is turning a Hartzell 3-bladed Super Scimitar propeller and is also equipped with a state-of-the-art avionics provided by Aspen. Even though it is certified for +6 and -3 Gs and has the same horsepower as Jim's Extra 300, this aircraft weighs almost 3 times as much. In addition, it is not equipped with an inverted fuel or oil system. In order to make this performance possible, Jim has become a master of energy management and is proud to list the legendary Bob Hoover as one of his most influential mentors and friends. Jim is a highly experienced aerobatic pilot, and this is definitely not your typical stock Bonanza. So to all of the Bonanza pilots in the audience, please do not try what you're seeing him do today on your way home. Ladies and gentlemen, concluding with the photo pass. This concludes Jim's performance today, and none of this could be possible without his amazing sponsors. Hartzell Propeller, the leader in aircraft propeller systems, built on honor in Piqua, Ohio, since 1917. Sirius XM, from wheels up to wheels down, Jim has superior graphical weather and entertainment at his fingertips to maximize his situational awareness and comfort. Aspen Avionics, which is able to withstand the punishment imposed by an aerobatic routine and then still allow Jim to safely make it back home in the most demanding instrument conditions. Whalen Aerospace Technologies, producing the best high-performance lighting solutions for certified and experimental aircraft since 1952. Phillips 66 Aviation Products, whether at home or on the road, it's always Jim's choice of fuel. Kelly Manufacturing, makers of the digital attitude indicators that guarantee that Jim always has the right attitude. And of course, Mustang Aviation, Jim's very own state-of-the-art full-service FBO, located in his hometown of Pierre in the great state of South Dakota. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes Jim's performance for the afternoon. Put your hands together one final time for Jim Peitz and the Aerobatic Bonanza F-33C.
4-place family airplane doing aerobatics, and he does it so very well.
Love that guy. He and his wife have traveled around, and he used to fly around in his Extra, and it wasn't so pleasant for Kathy. She loves traveling around with him in the Bonanza.
You know what, I want to say something about Amazon, because we're going to have to take a break here very shortly to get some of the Amazon airplanes off. Don't want to, if you ordered something, I don't want to hold it up for you. So, but I want to thank them on behalf of Sun and Fun for the cooperation that they have shown our air show in rounding their schedules to fit around most of our performers, and we are deeply grateful for that. I'm sure you've seen their huge warehouse, which is just to the northwest of the air terminal here, but they have airplanes coming and going constantly all throughout the day and the night delivering goods, and we really do appreciate Amazon for what they've done to allow us to have Sun and Fun here and fly our airplanes with them working their schedules around us. Thank you, Amazon.
They are busy all over the country. I live in the Cincinnati area, and up at Wilmington, at what was once the Wilmington Air Force Base, about 45 miles outside of Cincinnati. That is now very, very busy with Amazon airplanes as well. And we've got friends working there as we see Jim Peitz going by, and that those Bonanzas were, a number of them were built to help airline pilots outside the country to experience better stick and rudder skills and spin training, what a normal Bonanza would not be stressed for. And this one is one of those, what, about 30 or something that they did?
Yes, I did. Indeed. I think it was that many. All right, we're going to be right back. Stay tuned.
And we are back. Take a look at that airplane. That's Michael Goulian's Extra 330 SC, designed and built in Germany by a guy named, well, why not, Walter Extra. He really changed the game, didn't he, Larry, with respect to the biplane that ruled aerobatic competition for years. And then came Walter Extra's monoplanes that really was as a sea change.
Absolutely, a total change. And it was designed, obviously, he's from Germany, designed it there. And it was, when it hit the aerobatic circuit, it stood everybody back, because Peitz for years and years had claimed every victory.
Yeah, Curtis Peitz came up with this little biplane back in 1945 or 1946 or so. Had I think it was a 65 horsepower motor on it. And the pilots wanted more, and then they decided no. Curtis couldn't figure out why they needed more power, but they got up to some incredibly powerful engines, over 300 horsepower on them.
And these airplanes today are remarkable in what they can do, the stresses that they can take. Because you watch Michael, and like he's talking to, there's 9 Gs right there, which is not sustainable for very long for a pilot. But you just stop and think that the airplane goes through iteration after iteration of that through every act. And they are remarkably strong airplanes.
The carbon fiber and composite materials used to manufacture these airplanes make them stronger than the ability of the pilot to withstand those Gs. So they have higher G tolerances. And Wheelan Aviation, Aerospace Technologies, and Bose and Cirrus, all sponsors, and including the timepiece sponsor for Michael Goulian. That's the Alpina watches. And if you look on the left, you can see that's a Peitz biplane. That's, I believe that's a Peitz, or is that a Peitz or a Kristen Eagle?
I cannot see it with the glare. I'm sorry.
Well, at any rate, that's the difference. The biplane, 2 wings, top and bottom, and the monoplane that Michael Goulian is flying. So we'll see both of those airplanes fly here today, and both of them flown and with great excellence and perfection here at Sun and Fun 2021.
Okay, you know who's based right here on the field? NOAA. You had an opportunity to talk with the public affairs officer. We're talking about the hurricane hunters, something that I would not do for a ticket, first class ticket to Rome and back.
Oh my goodness, they go through some pounding. Why don't we watch this?
Okay, yeah, let's do that. NOAA, right here on the field.
I serve a purpose between the research scientists and our flight crews. Our flight crews are really good at meteorology, but they still don't have my education in meteorology. And the scientists we carry quite often don't know hardly anything about airplanes, so they will ask for some kind of crazy things to do for perfect research data. We want to get them as close to that as we can, but we also want to keep it safe, keep the airplane coming back. If we don't bring the airplane back, we don't bring the data back, and we don't get a repeat flight. So I get to be the negotiator, the guy between the two, and I can call time out at any time, just as anybody else on the crew can. Usually what we do near the center is we go in and out. We really only need to be in the center of the storm for just a moment, and that's because the data is coming through so rapidly, and the main thing that the Hurricane Center wants us to do is map the wind fields in all the different quadrants of the hurricane. So we go through the center, mark the center, drop a drop zone in the center, and essentially just sail right back out the other side. Rinse and repeat, maybe as many as 4, 6, possibly 8 passes through the center. We know how important it is when a big storm is approaching a populated coastline. That doesn't mean we do a different job out there, but we certainly are sent out more frequently. We're sent out and to fly special patterns that emphasize the area of the storm that's going to have the greatest impact on the storm surge and on the wind destruction. So we can really tell when one of them is a life threatener. And we're out there plenty early. They'll send us out as far east as Barbados to start working the storms that far out and all the way to landfall. In 1980, they would only forecast storms out 3 days, 72 hours. Somewhere along the end of the 90s, the early 2000s, they extended out to the 96 and 120-hour forecast, 4 and 5 days. They are now putting out 6 and 7 day forecasts. And a large part of that is the data from these NOAA aircraft. Another large part is the power of the supercomputers, and of course the high accuracy of the satellites as well. So there are a number of factors, but we've been able to play a role, and it's been very cool. Weather data has always been an international, it doesn't know any boundaries, and that's true of Cuba and everywhere else. We share data everywhere. The products are put together, the really accurate computer models are done up in Washington, and then those products are disseminated everywhere where they need to go. The P3 Delta that we have, it's an old Charlie model that we converted to science, so it went immediately with the Delta designation. We actually have a pilot, a co-pilot, and a flight engineer. Now the pilots are fully capable of flying the airplane and working the power levers, and the power levers, of course, are changing the pitch of the props, and that's what gives us the instant power that we need in the shear filled environment of the hurricane. However, in the really wild places like in the eye walls, the pilots have full hand duty on the yoke, on the rudder pedals, keeping things. Attitude is everything. Altitude we don't care about. Attitude and airspeed is everything. And the flight engineer in the middle, that person is working full time doing serious weightlifting on those power levers, all the way to the firewall, all the way back to flight idle, back and forth through the shear. And our ride, I'm right behind them, and I'm loving it because I got some of the best people in the world keeping me safe right there in front of me. It's amazing.
And we are back, and I want you to look at those helicopters that we have. They're representing your United States Army. The CH-47 is the one we see with the twin rotor systems. It's a medium lift helicopter, and that, I don't have all the numbers on it, but it's been serving with the Army for many, many years, as has the other one that's over there, and that's the Sikorsky Blackhawk helicopter, the UH-60M for medevac. And boy, you talk about how the helicopter, Larry Strain, changed the way the Army fought. Vietnam was the big change for the helicopter being so integral to moving soldiers in and out of the battle space.
And just as important was that, there was rescue, and that was the, of course, the Huey helicopter. Most distinct sound in the world. You can always tell when a Huey is approaching. But yeah, we do. We have the Chinook is the nickname or the call sign for the twin rotor that you talked about. But they're remarkable machines, and they've done a lot to save a lot of lives.
The CH-47 actually flew in the Vietnam War. It's been around for a long time, and I think that's true with so many aircraft that have served with our military. That's been very, very important, the way they've served. And Army and the medevac, those dust-off missions, the gunships, the slicks, all of those missions in Vietnam, and still being applied today with tremendous maintenance, tremendous capabilities of the pilots and crews who fly them all. Thank you, United States Army. And
I want to see with my AOP card if
your AOP,
if it's still good, or I have to renew it. So I want to check my wallet here. Do you know do you know anybody at AOPA that can help?
Yeah. Are we going to take a look at that, or are we going to talk to Gene here? We are, okay, we've got, you were talking about somebody named Mark Baker, and that's not Martin Baker ejection seats, which you started the joke about. Mark Baker is the president of the Aircraft Owners and Pilots Association. Spent some time with him back in February for the Hoover Awards, and we've got a little feature piece we'd like to show you right now.
Well, I think people have gradually, since, I call it a year ago where things were really stopped and weren't even driving to the airport was not approved in some parts of the country. And it gradually picked up. By the time we got to midsummer, people were starting to fly a fair amount. By the time we got to fall, general aviation was seeing numbers in the 30 and 40% over 2019 numbers. By the time we got to, call it the holidays down here in Florida, it was 200% more general aviation traffic coming into the peninsula of Florida in December of this year than there was 2 years ago. I mean, it's unbelievable when people are getting back into aviation, finding it for the first time, and using aviation in ways that weren't even thought about 24 months ago. Oh, our website is being accessed daily by thousands of people. Seriously, it's the most amazing thing. And we're trying to refer them to flight schools if they're brand new to it. And some flight schools out in California are out 3, 4, 5 months to even start your first lesson. But there are other places in the country you can get your lesson tomorrow. So we're trying to redirect people where they can go and say, hey, now's the time. Our high school program is one of the things I'm very proud of. We've now got it in 39 states that are approved at the high school level, 9 through 12. 400 classrooms around the country, and almost 9,000 kids are in enrolled in aviation STEM curriculum today. I want to get to be that bigger. I want all 50 states to have that. I want to try and get that aviation seed early and have people see what great opportunities are in all parts of aviation. Well, really, it has been all done on the donors to the AOPA Foundation. And so I wanted to make sure that a school in the inner city of wherever can teach this class for free. That was one of the barriers I wanted to lower, and we've been able to do that. We expect to see a little bit of a federal grant. We're trying to pull other businesses and individuals together to make sure we can raise that money so we keep that barrier of entry to zero so these schools can grab on and go. You can come out of your high school class with a commercial drone license. We encourage people to look at, becoming a mechanic, an engineer, a controller. Aerospace today is a hot category. So all of those things are fundamentally around some kind of education in STEM. Well, this year we got a Grumman, and a Grumman is a really truly well-built aircraft, and a lot of people aren't familiar with them, but it's a cool airplane. I mean, you slide your canopy. I mean, that's like having a convertible in an airplane. It's pretty darn neat. This thing's going to be fixed up in a way that anybody that wins is going to be darn proud. I can tell you what, one of our favorite things to do is take these experiments where we put new technologies in them, show what people can be done to the panel or the engine or the interiors, and reinvest in these older craft that are really good airplanes, show people that they are the possible. And then whoever gets to win this thing, if it happens to you, good luck.
Pilots Association. Just by mentioning that, I got my card renewed. They just called me.
That's good.
You have a very interesting guest.
I do, and it's amazing that I've known this guy for so many years because I knew his dad at Dayton, Ohio when he ran the Dayton airport, and you're following in your dad's footsteps. This is Gene Conrad, who is do you call yourselves the general manager, or what is your position here with Lakeland Linder International Airport?
Well, I am officially the airport director, and that's what it says in my paycheck, so I'll stick with that.
Yeah, we don't want any sort of demotion, so airport director it is. You've been here how long, Gene?
It's now been a little over 11 years, so I got here in January of 2010.
And you have overseen some big changes here, maybe the biggest changes in just the last couple of years. Tell us what's been going on.
Well, there's been a lot, and I will tell you, when I got here 11 years ago now, when I got here, there's just a tremendous opportunity here at this facility. We have an 8,500-foot runway, air traffic control tower, crash fire rescue, close to 2 million square feet of facilities that we control and operate and maintain. We have over 80 businesses and organizations located here on the airport, which a lot of people don't know. But we've been doing a lot and invested over $500 million into this airport in the last 10 years with FAA funding, FDOT, private investment, and then also airport investment as well. So there's a lot happening here.
And I'm certain that has an extremely important positive effect on the local area economy.
And it does. So we just updated our economic impact study. When I got here in 2010, it was $167 million annually. In 2019, it was $575 million. We just again updated it, and we're at $1.5 billion now. And how we got there is obviously that $500 million in investment. But back in 2010, we had 800 people working on this airport in our facilities, and now we're at 3,400. Wow. So that's how we're doing it. $500 million investment, 3,400 people working on this airport. And so, unfortunately, a lot of people don't understand and appreciate this airport necessarily because we don't have commercial service, right? And so I have a relationship with Tampa International in Orlando because I fly in and out or whatnot. But people, if they're not using this facility, they're like, what's going on? What is the benefit to me? But we're supporting a lot of jobs, and the economic impact is huge now.
That is so very important for people to understand that aviation is way more than just the airlines.
That's correct. And, we have 5 flight schools here. We have Central Florida Aerospace Academy, our high school, Polk State College Aerospace. We have 8 A&P shops, aircraft and power plant, basically mechanic shops for airplanes here, paint shops, avionics shops, hotels. I mean, you name it. I mean, we have it here on this airport. Very unique mix of aircraft that are based here. Obviously with Draken International, with the F1 Mirage that's over here, and all of the aircraft regeneration they do here. NOAA, I know you guys talked about NOAA and the Hurricane Hunters here. We just finished a $13 million expansion for them because they're adding 2 more airplanes to their fleet and also 50 to 60 more people as well. So we were very fortunate to get them back in 2017, get them here located on this airport. And they're not just they just don't do hurricanes. I mean, they're flying year round, and so there's just a lot of unique activity here. and we do RC model flying on the south side. Yes, we do. We have 2 large events here every year. So if people parked out in the parking lot, we're like, what is this runway out here? That's our RC model flying runway. So we do it all.
Oh my goodness, that's fantastic, and that's just as a great family piece of entertainment that you can offer, as well as Sun and Fun here in the Aerospace Center for Excellence. And let me, if I may, let's talk about the impact that Amazon has had here. I know that's improving things, but every once in a while somebody says, what's going to happen to Sun and Fun if Amazon comes and takes over? But you're working on that.
Well, absolutely. So I'll just so everybody knows, Amazon does not own the airport. So just so everybody knows that, we're owned by the city of Lakeland, and they're a great tenant on the field. But what we do here is so much bigger than them, and with all the different businesses and organizations that we have here. But we just finished up a master plan, which is basically our 20-year look ahead for how we're going to continue to develop this facility. And one of the biggest changes is we're going to take out 523, our crosswind runway, where the C-17 is up there on the north side, and we're going to build a new parallel runway 2927 here. So over time, over the next 8 to 10 years, you'll see some progressions with the Sun and Fun's footprint here and their exhibit buildings, kind of like what's happened at Oshkosh. Over the last several decades, you saw the new exhibit buildings move from over by the old tower and into new locations, and that progression will happen here as well. So we're going to be able to still do what we do here and what we love, and this is what it's all about. I was born in Oshkosh. My dad ran the airport there when I was a kid. And that's why I came here to Lakeland and to be part of this airport and Sun and Fun. So we're going to protect, obviously, this organization and this event, because it's super important not only to the airport but to aviation as a whole, and especially after this last year with the pandemic. And this is the first big event, and we're setting the tone right now. We're having a great week for what's going to come ahead for the next year for air shows and aviation around the country.
Boy, it's so good to hear. Both you and Lights have your message so deeply ingrained, not only in your head but in your hearts, and that's something that once you get go to the heart of the matter, that makes it good for everybody.
Yeah, and I'm super passionate. Hopefully you can tell I'm super passionate about aviation. But this airport is our baby, but aviation in the industry is extremely important. So with what Sun and Fun does on a year-round basis with the high school, with their college programs, with all the flight training, the scholarship for the kids, they provide 100% scholarships for kids to get the private pilot's license. I mean, that's unheard of. Over 122 pilots, private pilots from this program here, and it's growing. But when we talk about sustainability, it's about sustaining the industry. Our bigger airport friends, they love to talk about the environmental things and being green and all that. We are too. We have 3 solar farms out in the West End, so if you flew in, you probably saw those. But for us, sustainability is about this industry and creating pilots, creating the next generation of mechanics, air traffic controllers, airport managers, and making sure this industry is, healthy as we move forward.
That is such good news. Larry?
Well, I wanted to mention the fact that everybody knows that when you have a TFR in place for an air show, that you cannot impede the local commerce. And we have not done that, primarily through the cooperation of Amazon for their scheduling and the way that they have worked with us. Hats off and a hand salute to them.
And I will tell you, their folks have done a great job. Their building sits in the jet demonstration team box for the Blue Angels, so they are getting ready to evacuate the entire facility. So 300 employees are moving out. Yep. These airplanes are going to depart, and they're going to vacate that area and move forward. And there we have one of our 737-800s departing right there. But that's a huge commitment. I mean, obviously, they want to get our packages to all of us on time and to our front door. They cut half their schedule Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday to accommodate us and what we're all doing here today. So a little delay, to get these jets out, but, hey, great partners. And, I will tell you the other thing is, too, the revenue that we're generating, not only from Amazon, but all of the various businesses here on the airport, it's all about reinvesting it back into this airport. The city of Lakeland, that it can't go to other funds or whatnot. All those funds stay here on the airport, so we continue to grow and drive aviation development here.
This is a little gym. It really is.
Yes, it is. It's our little beast, and the beast is hungry, and we have to feed it. So.
Very good.
Gene Conrad, thanks so much for coming up and visiting, and thanks for all you do for the airport, for the tenants, for the people of Lakeland, for all of us from all over the country and around the world who come to Sun and Fun and enjoy your facility and your town. We sure appreciate it.
Well, I just want to say we are super happy to have everybody here. Being off for a year was not fun. We hated that. And, kudos to Lights and the Sun and Fun team and to all of the volunteers here. They are awesome, and we appreciate them.
Thank you, sir. Gene Conrad,
Thank you, Gene.
the airport director. We'll be back with more of Sun and Fun right after we break for these messages.
Did you know that Geico's whole 15 minutes thing, that came from me? Really? My first idea was, in 1/4 of an hour, your savings will tower. Over you, figuratively speaking. But that's not catchy, is it? That's not going to swim about in your brain. So I thought, what about 15 minutes, 15%? Serendipity.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
We're back as we watch that 737-800 that Gene Conrad was talking about on the roll as we move some of these airplanes out, as we take a little hiatus from our flying to make sure that Amazon is going to be on time, on target.
Yes, sir.
Strain.
What about this down here? Our set decoration is phenomenal. It kind of brings back a lot of memories.
Oh, it does indeed. We're looking at a couple of different helmets that have been brought in by Dewey Larson, our friend who has the cockpit experience at so many different air shows. He's got a couple of them that he's touring with, right?
Yes, but he's here. He's here, and you can sit in his cockpit, and it looks so real because you climb in on the other side, you put the helmet on, and it's got the front end of the airplane. You're ready to go.
There's
ready to add power.
A7 Corsair 2, Chance Vought, and also the F-18 cockpit. F-18 cockpit. So we have a Blue Angels helmet there with its fancy visor, and on the other side, we can see there's the cockpit right there. And now we're back, and the Blue Angels helmet, and then on the other side, on the left side, is a World War II leather flying helmet with an A-14 oxygen mask, and that was what they wore in the wintertime. And in the summertime, they had a cloth helmet, or if they're working in the tropics, something like that. And then some. What do you think those 50 caliber bullets?
7.62.
7.62 millimeter, and then the two larger ones are 30 millimeter shells from an Apache helicopter. So that's our little bit of history and set dressing for us, and thanks to Dewey Larson for what he does for so many people to get a chance to sit inside a cockpit of a real fighter jet.
That leather helmet, they used to wear the big buff headsets, that fit into the leather there on the sides.
They do. Yeah, they would fit in there, and all of that before the days of the kind of hearing protection we have now. And Larry, I know that you are in you're type qualified in a B-25 Mitchell bomber, and I think guys went deaf faster in that airplane than anything else because the propeller tips were about 18.
It's right here,
right next to the pilot's seat.
It's right here. My left ear is gone.
Oh my goodness!
Yes, it was a loud airplane. Also, had no nose wheel steering on it, as you are familiar with, and the only way that you could turn was brakes, differential brakes, and they said, we'll check you out, and if you can taxi the airplane, you can fly it. It's pretty difficult to taxi down and around corners, but a great airplane. I love flying it.
Yeah, indeed. There is a raffle going on. And we've got some stuff that we can show on that, some raffle that's going to be taking place. It's the 2022 Sun and Fun Front Row Center raffle. And we do have some very, very fun prizes. And we're going to go in order from least to greatest. But look at what's, if you call that the least, the Bose A20 headset. Noise canceling with Bluetooth. That's one of the prizes that's going to be given away. Then 4 weekly passes to the 2022 Sun and Fun with preferred seating. Another of the prizes in the raffle, 4 weekly passes with Aerospace Center of Excellence Ambassadors Flight Deck access. Then we've got 4 weekly passes to Sun and Fun 22 with access to the 927 Club. And ding-de-ding, drum roll for the big one, a ride with the AeroShell Aerobatic team. And They were here earlier with Mark Henley and Steve Gustafson and Brian Regan and the guys. And then the grand prize, here it is, 4 weekly passes to Sun and Fun 22, 4 nights in a hotel, rental car, air show control VIP level access, and Aerospace Center for Excellence flight deck passes.
Now, where do I buy my ticket for that if it's a raffle?
Well, I think Larry Strain, if you can, yes, you go to www.flysnf.org. No purchase necessary.
Oh, I don't have to buy a raffle ticket?
No, you don't. Just to enter, go to www.flysnf.org.
I am on board for that.
That's the raffle that's coming up. We're still waiting for maybe a couple of more airplanes to go, and we've got other things to be doing shortly. Now, we were talking about the sound of the Huey. Take a look at what's on the screen right there. That is a Huey helicopter, the Bell UH-1 Iroquois. Bell Aircraft, an amazing history of that company. They developed the X-1, the first aircraft that exceeded the speed of sound, flown by General Chuck Yeager back in October of 1947. Then, in the Korean War, the number of lives that were saved because of the use of the early Bell Model 47 helicopter. If you remember the Batcopter in the Batman TV series, it had that bubble front. The Bell Model 47 was the one that took the wounded soldiers directly from the battlefield to the mobile Army surgical hospitals, the MASH units. And then came the Vietnam War, and the Bell 47, I should say the UH-1 Iroquois, changed the way the Army worked. That is the North American P-51 Mustang. Listen. We heard Gene McNeely earlier today flying his T6 Texan with a radial engine on it. 600 horsepower with the cylinders arranged in a circle around the central propeller shaft. That airplane has a V12 engine in it, initially designed by the folks at Rolls-Royce, but Larry, you know that they didn't make as many as some other company did.
No, as a matter of fact. Well, let's take it back a little bit further. The P-51 Mustang was an airplane that was not even ordered by the United States. The United Kingdom had a couple of airplanes.
You know what? I got to interrupt because it's time to hand it over to the F-22 Raptor demonstration team.
Let's go.
Well, we did turn it over to the Raptor. We're waiting. They'll take it in just a second, but it's there. There we go.
Check 1 2. Announce. Check 1 2.
You're loud. Go.
Raptor demo, it's all yours.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of your United States Air Force, the Commander of Air Combat Command, General Mark Kelly, and all the men and women of Air Combat Command, we welcome you to today's F-22 demonstration. I am F-22 Demo Team Superintendent Master Sergeant George Fagan from Augusta, Georgia, and as a proud member of Air Combat Command's 1st Fighter Wing located at Joint Base Langley Eustis in Hampton, Virginia, it is my distinct pleasure to describe for you today a capability demonstration by the most technologically advanced 5th generation fighter aircraft in the world. The F-22 Raptor's mission is air dominance. It supports our joint forces and allies to freely operate in today's joint fight, anywhere, anytime. And now, introducing your 2021 F-22 demonstration team, from Belchertown, Massachusetts, Dedicated Crew Chief, Technical Sergeant Ian Ivey. From Hubert, North Carolina, Assistant Dedicated Crew Chief, Senior Airman Aaron Bailey.
From Bayamon, Puerto Rico, avionics technician, Staff Sergeant Fernando Yama. From Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, avionics technician, Senior Airman Lauren Ogue. From New Palestine, Indiana, AFE Specialist, Staff Sergeant Tyler Weinman. From Logan, Utah, Public Affairs Craftsman, Staff Sergeant Don Hudson. From Paso Robles, California, F-22 Demo Team Chief, Technical Sergeant Kevin DeWeese. And our very special guest, the 27th Fighter Squadron's very own, from Sydney, Maine, Assistant Dedicated Crew Chief Taylor Edmond. From Vacaville, California, our safety officer and combat-ready fighter pilot, Captain Zach Switch Helton. And your 2021 F-22 demonstration fighter pilot with more than 1,500 hours flying fighter aircraft, from Tampa, Florida, Major Joshua Cabo Gunderson. You are about to witness the maneuvering capabilities of the most advanced and most lethal fighter aircraft in your United States Air Force. The F-22 you will see today is an unmodified and fully combat-capable aircraft. While we can't show you everything that makes the Raptor the most lethal fighter aircraft in the world, we will show you its raw power and thrust-vectored maneuvering capabilities as it executes maneuvers that no other fighter aircraft in the world can perform. The Raptor plays a vital role in the defense of this nation and represents your Air Force's dedication to aim high, fly, fight, and win, ensuring our ability to meet any challenge, under any conditions, anytime, anywhere in the world. As today's demonstration begins from your right, you will see the Raptor execute a maximum power takeoff. Producing 70,000 pounds of thrust from its powerful F-119 engines, the Raptor will virtually leap off the runway in an amazing 1,000 feet. At a safe altitude, Major Gunderson will quickly loop the aircraft, reversing his flight path, and then roll while diving straight down. So now it's time to stand up, move forward, and get ready. The show is about to begin. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the most feared aircraft in the world today, your United States Air Force's F-22 Raptor. Raptor's advanced flight controls combined with its powerful engines allow the aircraft to pull more than 9 times the force of gravity. Watch from the right as the Raptor demonstrates its tight turn capability with a min-radius horizontal turn and then powers straight up into the vertical. Then watch as Major Gunderson changes his direction with the amazing J-turn reposition. of the Raptor comes in any combination of 8 missiles and up to 8 precision satellite-guided bombs. The F-22 is the first supersonic, multi-role, and highly agile stealth fighter in the world with a fully internal combat weapons load. Ready your cameras as the Raptor banks in from the left and cycles its weapons bay doors. Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to dedicate this pass to the men and women of the armed forces and their families who support them. We would also like to remember our wounded warriors and veterans in attendance and those who have given their lives defending this great nation. This will be your best photo opportunity, so get your cameras ready to capture this salute. Now, from behind and to the right, the F-22 Raptor proudly presents the dedication pass. The F-22 possesses the ability to point its nose at will at extremely low airspeeds and high angles of attack. Watch closely as the aircraft pulls into the vertical and executes a full 360-degree aileron roll. At altitude, the jet will flip backwards and level off. Then, in less than 2,000 feet of altitude and under complete control, Major Gunnarsson will execute a full 360-degree flat turn. Quickly reposition and show you what the advanced flight controls and engines can do. As it executes the power loop, you'll see why the aircraft is unmatched in a vertical fight as it carves through a loop and doubles its altitude at the end. At the top of the loop, you will see the Raptor rotate around one spot in the sky utilizing the vectored thrust of 2 powerful F-119 engines, which literally flip the aircraft through the vertical and back to level flight. Following the power loop, you will see the Raptor perform the loaded roll. Many jets can turn tight, many jets can roll quickly, many jets can climb fast, but not many can slide. Watch now from behind as the Raptor flies over, pulls straight up into the vertical, brings his throttles near idle, and then under complete control, the F-22 Raptor will actually slide backwards. The Raptor's slow speed handling characteristics are phenomenal. Watch now as Major Gunderson repositions the aircraft to crowd right, reducing the power while loading up on a high angle of attack. The Raptor will slow down to less than 90 knots. After the pass, you'll once again feel the raw power of the jet as Major Gunderson lights those afterburners and climbs straight into the vertical. Ladies and gentlemen, from the right, the Raptor's slow speed pass. The F-22 possesses the capability to reach speeds and altitudes that make it virtually untouchable, even without using its afterburners. Accelerating from 90 knots to over 600 knots, Major Gunderson will now roll inverted in preparation for a split S reposition in a high-speed pass, showcasing just a fraction of the aircraft's supercruise and full-speed capability. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare for Freedom's Thunder on the high-speed pass. The F-22 will now set up to perform a Hoover pitch. This maneuver is a double knife edge separated by an inverted tuck, followed by a pitch to line up in preparation for heritage flight. This will be another great opportunity to capture the Raptor on your camera during our demonstration. Ladies and gentlemen, named after the late legendary Bob Hoover, the Raptor's Hoover pitch. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to take a moment to describe the unique history of what you are about to watch. In 1997, the leaders of Air Combat Command assembled a select group of retired military and civilian performers to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the United States Air Force. In 2010, the Air Force Heritage Flight Foundation joined with the United States Air Force to keep this popular program flying. From this gathering was born the Heritage Flight, a unique visual representation of Air Force history from the days of the Army Air Corps to present. What started out as a one-time event has grown in popularity and demand, and now heritage flights are performed at air shows and special events in the United States and around the world. Flying in formation today is a World War II era P-51 Mustang piloted by Stuart Milson. Your United States Air Force's F-22 Raptor piloted by Major Joshua Cabo Gunderson. veterans in attendance whose sacrifices over the years have helped preserve America's freedoms. We hope you enjoyed watching this rare formation of classic and current United States Air Force aircraft on our journey from heritage to horizons. Ladies and gentlemen, your United States Air Force Heritage Flight. We hope you've enjoyed watching and taking pride in this rare display of more than 70 years of air power heritage. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Major Joshua Cabo Gunderson and the Raptor doing the Dan roll. From the right, Stuart Milson in the P-51 Mustang, maintained by the Kavanaugh Flight Museum in Dallas, Texas. He's coming in to do a 4-point roll.
You know, as he comes through, George, the sound of the Merlin engine is eclipsed only by the sound of the song that is indicative and emblematic of the Heritage Flight. Dwayne O'Brien from the band Little Texas wrote that song. I get goosebumps because he's told me the story of his family who was involved in World War II, and he is an aerobatic pilot himself, and this song was a tribute to all of those who fought and died and flew for our freedom. And Dwayne O'Brien, Little Texas Band, and we remember it is the anthem of the Heritage Flight.
Can you hear me? Awesome. Yes, sir, it is. It's definitely one of the few things that happens that still gives me goosebumps. Like, there he goes. Kind of like that. That was the F-22 with a tactical pitch going straight up into the vertical. Yeah, I'm just, I really look up to Major Gunderson a lot just because he does this kind of stuff, you know? But yeah, definitely goosebumps, definitely goosebumps.
Tell me a little bit, George, about your Air Force career. You've been in here for a while. If you're working on Raptors, you've been to some pretty important schooling.
Oh yeah, I've definitely became. I'm a different person today than I was before I was in the military. A big thing that you learn is discipline, and I needed that as a kid. And yeah, so I started off at the Air Force. I was backshop avionics, so I worked on electronics for aircraft. And then when I became an E5, a staff sergeant, I got moved over to the Raptor, where I learned a little bit and essentially fell in love with it. I fell in love with the people that worked with the Raptor. So it's just a
really
huge, yeah. It's
that's
so
cool.
It's a little story. Late one Friday night, we had to pull 2 motors out of my jet, and people stayed behind. They're like, "No, you can go home or whatever. You can just go." But there was a whole crew of people who were like, "No, George, we're gonna stay back and help you." And it was just one of those things that makes me. I still look back at that, and I tell that story all the time. Like, you're part of a family, you're part of a team, and I want to do the Raptor nation proud, essentially. The F-22 folks that I've met throughout my years here.
So the work ethic that was instilled into you by the example of the people in the Air Force, that's been a big life changer for you.
Oh yeah, it's just it's given me a lot of perspective as far as like realizing that, you know, challenge is the path to growth. You know, it's helped me a lot.
As we watch Cabo land, you noticed, those of you who are familiar with all of this, but the aircraft, he kept the nose wheel off the runway as long as possible, because it'll wear out a tire quick.
He's just showing off.
But it is aerodynamic braking. He's actually using the actual wing and fuselage of the Raptor to help slow him down more, and that's something that
it's amazing. The flight control computers on this thing it's awesome. Like, it has different profiles, so if he's got his gears down and he's going to land, it's going to behave differently to his inputs than if, you know, all the gears are up and everything. It gives him full control of what he wants to do with that aircraft.
It is one remarkable airplane, isn't it?
Oh yeah.
I got to talk to the former president of the United States, and you know what he told me?
What did he say?
He says he likes the Raptor.
He better like it.
But anyway, that's George. Thank you very much. I'm so glad that we had Stuart Milson providing the P-51 Mustang, and thank you and all the team for all you guys do for us at air shows all around the country, and for bringing the message of patriotism, love of country, and the message of the service of the United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, join me in a round of applause for the entire Raptor demo team and Master Sergeant George Fagan.
It's my pleasure. Thank you so much.
Great to meet you today, sir.
It's great to meet you.
We've got more to come here, and in a few minutes we're going to be going up to Michael Goulian. And let me just tell you something about his airplane. One of the very important parts of the airplane is that Hartzell propeller that he has on the front. And he has worked with Hartzell Propeller Company, that's been in business since 1917, to develop this new propeller that's on his Extra 330 SC. The folks at Hartzell, family-owned business throughout all that time, and they have a sign on all of their propellers, on the label, on the decal on every propeller. It's this one. It says "Built on Honor." So we're really thrilled about that. We're looking at Michael Goulian as he gets ready to taxi out. He will do what is called an air start. So our air boss, George Klein, and actually air boss 2, Bradley Klein, both George is a retired FAA controller, and Brad is currently an FAA air traffic controller, and they're up there making sure everything happens in a safe manner, and they will launch Michael Goulian, send him, as they say, up to the perch, and he'll start his show from about 3,000 feet above the ground. So we'll be doing that very, very shortly. Larry Strain, if you're there, you want to tell us a little bit more about what we're going to be doing this afternoon? Are you still there with me, bud?
Oh, yes, I'm here. Well, after Michael Goulian, you're going to have Tom Richard in that beautiful two-seat P-40. It is a magnificent airplane. And in the meantime, Rob, let me tell the people down here in front that you're going to get a drive-by by the P-51D Mustang and the Raptor. But after Tom Richard, we will have the United States Navy Blue Angels will take to the sky. And that's almost a full hour of flying. Patrick McAleese will be following the Blue Angels. And finally, to close out the show, it'll be the AeroShell Aerobatic team. And I want to make sure you folks understand we do have some acts following the United States Navy Blue Angels. So don't go away once the Blue Angels have finished flying. There's our P-51D Mustang, as you see on the screen, though, Michael Goulian taking off. Did want to mention, Rob, that the heritage flight of the United States Air Force, the old and the new, and the past, the present, started back at the 50th anniversary of the United States Air Force. In 1997 at Nellis Air Force Base, I was there and had the very distinct honor of narrating the very first heritage flight, and it's always been in my heart.
That's a very special thing to keep in as a memento for a great career that you've had as an air show announcer. Ladies and gentlemen, my compatriot up there, Larry Strain, is a guy who has been inducted into the International Council of Air Shows Foundation Hall of Fame. Congratulations to you on that induction, Larry Strain.
Thank you so much. And I know it won't take Michael very long with the horsepower he's got to get to altitude, so Rob, you got it, my friend.
Very good. Hartzell Propeller Company, Alpino Watches, Wheelan Aerospace Technologies is the prime sponsor. He's also thankful for the folks at Champion. And, of course, Cirrus Aircraft will tell you more about that. Cirrus airplanes built up in Duluth, Minnesota, and they are the airplanes with the full-size parachute. Now we're waiting to hear about whether our air boss is ready to turn it over to Michael. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to ask if you would please, if you've got an aircraft transceiver, check that you're not transmitting on the AirBoss frequency. Somebody has evidently, you're either sitting on it or pushed it next to your seat and you're transmitting improperly on the AirBoss frequency. So if you will, please check your radios and turn them off so we don't affect the safety of Michael Goulian and everybody else involved. If those radios are on, that makes it very, very difficult for Michael and our air boss and Tom Richard taking off in his P-40 right now to maintain safety. So if you will, please make sure we get that turned off. That's a very, very crucial thing we don't want to have opened up. And we're still waiting to hear for Michael to get up as we get, well, actually, we're going to move Tom Richard back out of on the perch, back up there a couple thousand feet above the ground. And let me see if we're ready from our air boss. Let me get on the radio here with our air boss. Air boss announcer, are we ready for 30 for Goulian? I haven't heard from them. I'm still coordinating on that. I have not heard from the boss. Air boss announcer, are we ready for 30 for Goulian?
He's going. He's got the box.
All right, we got it. Our next performer literally wrote the book on advanced aerobatic flight. He's one of the best known pilots on the planet. With the most advanced airplane, the precision of aerobatic competition, rock-solid air show entertainment, and unmatched talent, we've got the plane, the pilot, and the passion. The entertainment continues here at Sun and Fun 2021. All eyes to the sky. As Michael dives towards Show Air Center, that Hartzell propeller, powered by a Lycoming Thunderbolt IO580 engine, accelerates his airplane to over 250 miles per hour. Michael is known for giving his air show performance 110% every time he flies. And by the look of that entry, that's not about to change today. Mikey G, get after it! Ladies and gentlemen, it just doesn't get any better than this. Hartzell propeller, watch him as he gets on airspeed building up to almost 300 miles per hour in the Wheelan Aerospace Technologies Extra 330 SC. Folks, looks like Michael's ready for the second half of the show. Okay, Mikey G, let's get after it. A series of snap rolls brings Michael back to show center. A long pull back around. Ready, hit it. What do you think, Sun and Fun? Let's make some noise! As an air show performer, Michael continues to redefine what is possible in the air. His ability to push the limits while adhering to strict safety standards has earned Michael the reputation of being a true professional in his field. He's one of only a select few to have received all three of the air show industry's highest awards.
The unmatched performance and precision that Michael showed you today comes from his 30 years of intense training and competing in top-level regional, national, and global competitions. In fact, Michael has flown on 3 U.S. World Aerobatic teams and is a past U.S. National Aerobatic Champion. Michael performed in his first air show in 1989 while he was still a teenager and has been living his dream ever since. Today, he's one of the best airshow flyers in the world and one of only 7 aviators who have received all 3 of the airshow industry's top awards. Michael is also one of an elite group of pilots who competed in the Red Bull Air Race World Championships. This mind-blowing races of speed and agility played out in amazing cities around the globe. Only a few individuals have enjoyed the success that Michael has had in the airshow industry, and he feels incredibly lucky and honored to be able to make a living flying aerial displays for incredible fans like all of you here at Sun and Fun 2021. Our team is able to perform at the highest levels of the industry by participating with very special companies. In addition to Whelan and Alpina, Michael relies on champion engine components, Lycoming engines, Hartzell propellers, and Bose aviation headsets. Michael also flies from show to show in a Cirrus SR-22, the amazing general aviation plane with a parachute. The Cirrus life allows Michael to be reunited with his family most Sunday evenings following a grueling air show weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, Michael has touched down. If you will, let's give him a huge round of applause. And Larry Strain, you can watch him come off the runway. Wasn't that an amazing performance?
He always flies a performance like that. It just non-stop action. Michael Goulian, love him to death. He really did. You know, I want to reiterate the reason that we're here, and that's for the Aerospace Center for Excellence to educate, engage, and accelerate the next generation of aerospace professionals. The Sun and Fun Aerospace Expo and dozens of other events that we produce around here every year provide the majority of the revenue that goes into supporting this mission. And by attending these events, you're helping to deliver top quality, including industry-leading STEM education and scholarship to young people, thousands of young men and women. The opportunities that ACE provides gives young people a competitive edge as they navigate their educational journey. Really, really support them if you can, ladies and gentlemen. Alrighty, I think we're going to talk about a P-40 Warhawk now, and that's back up to Rob.
Thank you, Larry Strain. There is an airplane that's going to be coming through from behind us here in just a couple of seconds. It was one of the leading, if not the leading, Army Air Force fighter at the beginning of World War II. It was built by Curtiss Aircraft Company. It was known as the P-40 Warhawk, or the Tomahawk, or the Kitty Hawk. Whatever it was a 350-mile-an-hour airplane, and it was the dream of our next pilot to be able to fly an airplane like this one. He has said to me that it is his favorite airplane, and I want to tell you the story of a young man from Sweden who, when he was 7 years old, decided he wanted to come to the United States of America, and that he wanted then to be able to race at the Reno National Championship air races, and he also wanted to fly warbirds. His name is Tom Richard, a Swedish guy, and take a look as we listen to the sound of the Allison V12 engine taking him skyward in a vertical climb as we see the American dream, the P-40 Warhawk, a very special P-40 that actually has 2 sets of controls, and we'll tell you why in just a little bit. Let's watch for just a few moments to the grace and to the sound of the P-40. dream that Tom Richard had, that started when he was such a young man, began to come to fruition when he was 17 years old. As a teenager in Sweden, his grandfather gave him $2,500 and said, come on to the United States. Fulfill your dream, chase it, go after it, follow your passion. And now, we are there, and he is there. He has achieved his American dream. Flying at the National Championship Air Races in Reno, Nevada, in a highly modified P-51 Mustang called Precious Metal, the only Griffin engine-powered P-51 Mustang to complete at the Reno Air Races. He also wanted to fly Warbirds, and this is his favorite one. And I keep talking about the American dream. Tom has named this aircraft the American Dream. He's accumulated more than 13,000 hours of flight time in general aviation planes, of which well over half is in Warbirds and a quarter in helicopters. In addition to flying Precious Metal at the National Championship Air Races, he's a World Cup winner in the International Formula One class. He's raced various jets. He's been sponsored by Breitling in the past, Breitling watches, and the leather jacket manufacturer Cockpit USA. And when he's not on the airshow circuit, you can find him at Warbird Adventures, where you can take a flight in one of his T-6 Texan World War II fighter trainers or other tail draggers. He'll gladly teach you all the maneuvers you're seeing him perform for you today in any of the aircraft. You can look up warbirdadventures.com for more information, or visit P-40 Warhawk American Dream on Facebook. If you're a pilot, you can even get your P-40 type rating in this aircraft. And this week, Tom is making a big announcement. He is relocating his entire operation to just outside Columbia, South Carolina this summer. He's moving his vintage aircraft flight school there to a grass strip in the country to enable everyone to enjoy these classic tail draggers in their correct setting. This specific aircraft is an actual combat World War II veteran from the Pacific Theater and has 2 confirmed Japanese kills. One was a Zero fighter and the other was a Betty bomber. Lieutenant Joel Thorvaldsen flew the aircraft for the United States Army Air Corps in New Guinea in 1943 and went on to a long career in the U.S. Air Force. That's the 8-point hesitation roll. If you'd like to fly any of Tom's beautiful aircraft yourself, you can book here in Florida for the next couple of months, or after that at their new location outside Columbia, South Carolina. Go see Tom and his trusty crew by the Warbirds and Review bleachers on the Warbird ramp. They'll get you scheduled to fly, and maybe you should learn to fly in a tail dragger. Go see Warbird Adventures. The P-40 Warhawk gained its fame as part of the American Volunteer Group, headed by General Claire Chennault, when a lot of young men in the service temporarily resigned their commissions prior to the U.S. entry into World War II to fight the Japanese as they were attacking nationalist China prior to America's entry into the war right after Pearl Harbor on December 8th, 1941. The attack, of course, on the 7th, we declared war on Japan on the 8th. Multiple fast aileron rolls. Tom Richard and the American Dream. Low and to the left, cameras ready. The P-40 was also flown by the Royal Air Force prior to America becoming a participant in World War II, alongside the Hurricanes and Spitfires of the Royal Air Force. And when Curtiss was unable to keep up the production with the production needs of the Royal Air Force for more of the P-40 fighters that they called the Kitty Hawk, they actually went to the president of North American Aviation, Dutch Kindleberger. Here's a photo pass. Here's Tom Richard. The British Purchasing Commission approached Dutch Kindleberger and said, we want you to build P-40s under license, which means that Curtiss Aircraft would turn their tooling and plans over to North American Aviation, and North American Aviation would take that and then build the Curtiss airplanes. And Dutch Kindleberger said, we don't want to build somebody else's airplane. And he said, give me 120 days. That was a very, very bold statement. But he had the rabbit to pull out of a hat, as I've heard my announcer friend Danny Clisham say, and it was a very, very unique wing design called laminar flow. And that enabled North American Aviation to take the Allison engine that's in the P-40, put it on the front of a completely new airframe with that laminar flow, very fast wing. And the Mustang was born, but not quite, because it didn't quite do well enough at high altitude with the British to keep up with the Hurricanes and Spitfires over Great Britain. So some enterprising engineers from the Royal Air Force took one of their Merlin engines, adapted it to the front of the Mustang, and then the Mustang was born. And Larry Strain, you and I were saying earlier that the Mustang engine, that Merlin engine developed by Rolls-Royce, was developed in greater numbers by somebody else. And that was the Packard Motor Car Company of Detroit, Michigan.
Exactly.
Some 56,000 of them were made. Isn't that an incredible number? In just a few moments, we'll be turning things over to the United States Navy Blue Angels. And then after that, what's coming up?
Oh, after that, we got Patrick McAlee and then the AeroShell team to fly. I want to remind everybody, too, that we do have a night show tomorrow night. There is no night show tonight, but tomorrow night, there's a night show. Lee Louderback will fly his beautiful P-51 Mustang. Michael Goulian will be flying in the night show. The Black Dagger jump team will be there, the AeroShell team. The Paradigm. If you've not seen these gentlemen, I guarantee you, you will be absolutely amazed. The Paradigm Paramotors. Bob Carlton will be there with his jet sailplane. We did have Gary Rohr settled in, but due to weather, he can't get here. Jive will be flying his tiny RV that wants to be a fighter plane. And of course, that's Jerry Jive Kirby. Manfred Radius in his sailplane. Then about, I think it's over 70 drones with different formations will be flying at our night show. And that will all be capped off with a huge fireworks display. That all starts tomorrow night about 7:30. So if you're going to be here tomorrow, stick around and stay for our evening show. Rob, you saw the Blue Angels arrival yesterday. They had a little trouble getting out of Pensacola due to the terrible weather up there. But they finally made it, did their runs here. Everyone is copacetic. They came to briefing this morning, and they are ready to fly.
Yes, they are, and we've got a few pesky little clouds that'll keep us from going to a high show, unless it clears out and maybe they can make an audible on the change on the call on that. Hey, we've got a few minutes before we're about ready to go. I just heard that the Blue Angels are ready to to go. So I think right now, I'm going to say, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the Blue Angels? It is with a great deal of pleasure that I present to you the United States Navy's Flight Demonstration Squadron, the Blue Angels.
Hit it.
For real this time. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Your United States Navy Flight Demonstration Squadron takes pleasure in performing to you this one of our mini practice flight demonstrations of the 2021 season. I'm Lieutenant Julius Bratton, narrator of the Blue Angels. Since 1946, the Blue Angels have had the unique privilege of demonstrating to the American public the precision techniques of naval aviation, hoping to inspire a culture of excellence and service to country. The maneuvers you will see demonstrated here this afternoon are coordinated tactical techniques developed by Navy and Marine Corps pilots in both peacetime training and actual combat. These maneuvers are neither stunts nor daring feats, but are refinements of basic techniques taught to every prospective naval aviator. Here at Lakeland, Florida, we will demonstrate these maneuvers at very low altitude in traditional Blue Angel formation so that you may see and take pride in the precise fashion in which your Navy and Marine Corps pilots are trained to fly. Now, direct your attention to the ramp before you. Observe the military manner in which the 6 demonstration pilots approach the aircraft and are saluted by their crew chiefs.
Ladies and gentlemen, flying Blue Angel number 1. Hit it.
Ladies and gentlemen, flying Blue Angel number 1, the commanding officer and flight leader of the Blue Angels from Fargo, North Dakota, Commander Brian Kesselring.
2. Hit it.
Flying Blue Angel number 2, the right.
3. Hit it.
Flying Blue Angel number 3, the left wing from Kingwood, Texas, Major Frank Sasser.
4. Hit it.
Flying Blue Angel number 4, the slot pilot from Chesapeake, Virginia, Lieutenant Commander Jim Cox.
5. Hit it.
Flying Blue Angel number 5.
6.
trademark of the Blue Angels since first established 75 years ago. 17 officers and 140 enlisted personnel comprise the Navy's Flight Demonstration Squadron. Pilots 1 through 4 fly in the Diamond Formation, showcasing of Navy and Marine Corps aviators, while pilots 5 and 6 fly as solos, demonstrating the maximum performance capability of the aircraft. Once again, I'm Lieutenant Julius Bratton from Woodlawn, Tennessee, Blue Angel number 7 and the narrator for the flight demonstration, as well as the pilot for the key influencer and media personnel we normally fly at each show site. Blue Angel number 8, Lieutenant Caitlin Forster from Scottsdale, Arizona, is the Squadron Naval Flight Officer and Events Coordinator. Commander Todd Royals from Willow Grove, Pennsylvania, serves as the Squadron Executive Officer. Our Marine Corps C-130 pilots are Major Rick Rose from Napa, California, Captain Austin Huckabee from Hoover, Alabama, and Captain Jackson Strife from Omaha, Nebraska. Lieutenant Brian Abe, our Maintenance Officer from Richardson, Texas, is responsible for the men, women, and equipment that keep our aircraft flying. From Juana Diaz, Puerto Rico, our Assistant Maintenance Officer is Lieutenant Henry Cedinho. From Virginia Beach, Virginia, the Blue Angel Flight Surgeon is Lieutenant Monica Borza. From Sedalia, Missouri, our Supply Officer is Lieutenant Kristen Tolan. From Rochester Hills, Michigan, our Public Affairs Officer is Lieutenant Chelsea Dietland. Our Boeing Technical Representatives are Mr. Jack Ralph from Fort Worth, Texas, Mr. Todd Lawson from Tigard, Oregon, and Mr. Landy Harnischfeger from Nantucket, Massachusetts. Our Financial Management Analysts are Mrs. Deborah Valentino from Hazard, New Jersey, and Mrs. Deborah Johnson from Pensacola, Florida. They're on the runway now, establishing fingertip formation. They'll accelerate their engines to 85% power, carefully
7. We own the airfield and the airspace. You are cleared for takeoff. Have a good one.
660 Souls, we're cleared for takeoff.
Solos, ready to go, boss?
We're cleared for takeoff. Wind 2008. You're right. Awesome. Take a marker back off. 0%. Take a nose wheel steering on. Maneuver time. And house Gemini breakout. Left turn. Bang it. Jump.
Cincinnati, down clears on 9. Let's fire it up for Sun and Fun Lakeland.
Turn off.
Smoke on. Off. Brakes now. Burners ready now. And the Blue Angel Diamond is rolling. As they pass before you, you'll notice that the smoke is no longer visible while the engines are in afterburner. The 4 Diamond pilots. Executes a reversal turn, bringing the formation back towards the flight line. Very shortly, all 4 pilots will be approaching for the first of the Diamond maneuvers. Rolling. Blue Angel number 5 will complete the dirty roll on takeoff, while Blue Angel number 6 executes a precise low transition and pitches up vertically at 6 times the force of gravity. Momentarily be making its approach from the right. In relatively slow speed flight, they'll give you an opportunity to get a close look at the roll. All 4 aircraft flying as one in this graceful 360-degree rolling maneuver. will next demonstrate the inverted flight capability of the F-18. Approaching inverted from the left and right, they will roll their aircraft 360 degrees, crossing over center point. Ladies and gentlemen, as they perform the Diamond Aileron Roll, here's Commander Kesslering. And enthusiasts who appreciate the difficulties associated with carrier aviation by the two solo pilots. To the right, Commander Walborn and Lieutenant Commander Benson will establish a mirror image formation. However, look closely as both aircraft are in the carrier landing configuration as they approach for a maneuver we call the forwarders. As they execute a maneuver performed by no other jet demonstration team in the world today. From the left, the Diamond Dirty Roll. Walborn is approaching to demonstrate the maximum performance turn radius of the F-18. He'll execute a 7.5 G afterburning turn and exit the flight line vertically, showcasing the Super Hornet's turbo nose-low capability. Approach. Once again, you should notice two significant modifications. While the wingman, Lieutenant Commander Haley and Major Zastapil, maintain minimum wingtip to canopy separation, the flight leader and slot pilot are both in the inverted position. From the right, the Blue Angel, Double Farvel. Blue Angels 5 and 6 are approaching the flight line at 400 miles per hour. Hold their aircraft 270 degrees and cross with minimum separation. Observe as both pilots sustain 6 times the force of gravity to cross their aircraft over show center. The 4 Diamond pilots are now stacked down and aft on a 45-degree bearing line to establish a right echelon formation. From the right, at 378 miles per hour, the Blue Angel Echelon Parade. Blue Angels 5 and 6 are converging on center point to demonstrate the rapid roll rate of the F-18's fly-by-wire flight control system. Crossing center point, they'll complete 2 consecutive rolls, totaling 720 degrees, with a combined closure rate of over 800 miles per hour. The opposing horizontal rolls. Commander Kessling is calling for a formation change, shifting the wingman into a left echelon formation. Approaching at 400 miles per hour, the Blue Angel left echelon flat pass. Observe as the 3 wingmen smoothly shift back into the Blue Angel Diamond.
Give me fuel, give me fire, give me...
6 have your attention. You have seen firsthand the ability of a tactical aircraft at high speed to sneak into a target area virtually undetected. Lieutenant Commander Benson will complete the maneuver with a series of vertical rolls, while Commander Walborn completes his rendezvous with the diamond to the right.
Give me fuel!
Commander Walborn has joined the Diamond in a line abreast formation. Still maintaining minimum separation, the pilots must now align themselves by looking 90 degrees from their flight path towards Commander Kesselring's aircraft. Approaching from the right at 350 miles per hour, the 5-plane line abreast flat pass. To the left, Commander Kesselring calls for another formation change prior to detaching Blue Angel number 5. Profiles of the F-18. The 2 solo pilots will next demonstrate precision roll rate control. Approaching center point, they will roll their aircraft 360 degrees, pausing after each 90 degrees of rotation, crossing center point in the inverted position. Ladies and gentlemen, the opposing 4-point hesitation roll. Kesselring is rolling out the diamond formation for another dynamic maneuver, the low brake cross. Approaching center point, each pilot will perform an individual brake turn and exit the flight line in a separate direction. Aircraft accelerates to 500 miles per hour. They'll perform a reversal turn back towards the flight line. You should be able to follow their individual smoke trails as all 4 aircraft converge on center point with maximum closure and minimum separation. The 2 solo pilots are making their approach to the flight line. Crossing center point, they will simultaneously roll their aircraft 420 degrees in section. The double tuck over roll. the crowd to the left, the Diamond is rolling out to demonstrate the awesome power of these General Electric F414 engines. Let's listen as Commander Kessling calls for the selection of afterburner by the 4 Diamond pilots. As they pass over center point, you will hear and feel the thunder of 8 engines producing 168,000 pounds of thrust. Commander Walborn and Lieutenant Commander Benson are approaching to demonstrate the slow-speed handling characteristics of the Super Hornet in the clean configuration. They'll pass before you, virtually standing Blue Angels 5 and 6 on their tails. At less than 120 miles per hour, the fly-by-wire flight controls provide the slow-speed handling that sets the Super Hornet apart in the air-to-air combat arena. Ladies and gentlemen, the section High Alpha Pass. Home-based in Pensacola, Florida, completed an intensive winter training period at Naval Air Facility El Centro, California. The beautiful weather in the Imperial Valley provided us with the optimum conditions to fly each of the demonstration pilots on the 120 training flights necessary prior to our first public demonstration. Our show season opens on the 17th of April and runs through early November. The Blue Angels will perform 52 flight demonstrations while visiting 29 cities throughout the United States and Canada. The next portion of our flight demonstration will showcase all 6 aircraft flying together in formation. The Blue Angel Delta has been our signature 6-plane formation since 1958. Behind the crowd to the right, the 2 solo pilots have joined the Diamond to form the Blue Angel Delta. At 200 miles per hour, the slow-speed Delta flat pass. All 5 wingmen maintaining position as they slowly pass over center point. exit to the left. Observe as Commander Kesslering brings the formation back towards the flight line. Very shortly, all 6 aircraft will be approaching for the Blue Angel maneuvering Delta.
It ain't the shoes, it's
At 400 miles per hour, all 6 aircraft are approaching for the maneuvering Delta. As they pass over center point, you should get a good look at the Delta set used by the 5 wingmen. Of our maneuvers, as well as an in-depth look at our team and individual biographies. We invite you to visit our website and follow us on social media, including Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Delta is making their approach to the flight line. Approaching center point, the entire formation will separate in dramatic fashion. The Blue Angel, Delta Breakout. Your United States Navy Flight Demonstration Squadron represents a time-honored tradition of pride, professionalism, and excellence spanning 110 years of naval aviation. The 2021 team takes a great deal of pride in saluting Navy and Marine Corps aviators, maintenance crews, and support personnel everywhere. From the left, your 2021 Blue Angels. demands placed upon naval aviators is that they be able to land their aircraft on a ship at sea. Whether it be a tactical jet, a propeller-driven aircraft, or a helicopter, each requires skill which the naval aviator must master. In order to perfect this skill, Navy and Marine Corps pilots spend a great deal of time in the landing pattern practicing carrier approaches. In front of you now, Commander Kessering and his wingmen are demonstrating a simulated carrier pattern. Approaching the runway from the left, Commander Kessering is confirming that the landing checks have been completed and that each aircraft is in fact ready to land. Rolling out on final, they'll make constant power and lineup corrections, maintaining the optimum rate of descent for the proper touchdown point. Pilots you've been watching perform here this afternoon are but a small part of the Blue Angel team. The men and women in blue uniforms standing before you are members of the elite Blue Angel maintenance crew. Through hard work, many long hours, and unselfish dedication, they have each year for the past 75 years provided us with the aircraft availability necessary to perform each of these flight demonstrations. As the aircraft taxi back, I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce the Blue Angel maintenance crew. Command Master Chief Eric McDermott from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Maintenance Master Chief James Hernandez from NOAA, California. Maintenance
Julius Bratton, nice job, my friend. First official show, and Steph Strickland and Larry Strain. That's the big blues. Then what did you call them? The super blues yesterday?
And having an opportunity to watch Whiskers nail his narration was an absolute treat. And I tell you what, those jets are loud. They are very loud.
They are indeed.
Did you notice we did get a lot of burners today? We asked that question yesterday about going into afterburner. I was told on the 360 they couldn't hold burner on all the way through because it would be too much G's, not on the airplane, but the pilot couldn't take it.
Gee,
well, that's saying something, too. They know how to pull G's better than anybody.
Yeah, they have to work out. They literally are required to work out 6 days a week. Plus, each year they go, I forget exactly where they go, but they have to do centrifuge training. And when they put them through this centrifuge, whip them around to experience gut-wrenching G-forces, I would lose well, they run you till you pass out.
Ugh.
Right.
So.
Sounds painful.
Yeah, indeed.
I hope everyone liked it. I think that was just a treat to be here and to see their first full performance in the new Supers.
And we're not done yet, are we, Larry?
No, we got Patrick McAlee coming up, and then we got, of course, the AeroShell Aerobatic team to close out with us. So we're just waiting on Patrick McAlee. He's what we call an air start. The air boss, when he does the schedule, discerns which acts will start from the ground, taking off and going right into the rack, or taking off, climbing to altitude because they want to start from high altitude, just like Mikey Goulian did.
Yes, indeed.
Just a little bit more. So we're just waiting for that takeoff for him to get to about 2,000 to 3,000 feet, and we'll be ready to go.
And I do want to do one more thing and share something that I'm very excited about, because I have been engaged by Flying Magazine to do a podcast based on the most widely read column in the 97-year history of the magazine, and that is called I Learned About Flying From That. Real life stories written by the pilots who got into dicey situations and lived to tell about them. And on the I Laughed, or I Learned About Flying From That podcast, we just started in December of last year. We take a deep dive in about a 30-minute format to tell the stories and let those pilots say in their own words what went on in their minds, what they learned about flying from that, lessons that we as pilots all can take home and learn from. And as a matter of fact, Flying Magazine every month gets letters from pilots who have read the articles, learned the lessons, got into similar situations, and it saved their lives. It's the I Learned About Flying From That podcast. You can go to www.flyingmag.com, go to the drop-down menu, hit I Laughed Podcast, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm really excited about it. We do a new episode every couple of weeks, from one with a 0-0 landing that was because a guy went under visibility under two separate alternates, and through no fault of his own had to do a 0-0 landing successfully. Pretty cool stuff. The I Laughed Podcast. Steph?
I'm glad that you have a chance to be a part of that. I really, as a student pilot, getting my private pilot's license in a Vans RV-12, I look forward to hopefully not learning some of those lessons the hard way. Hey, I just really quickly, before we get to the raffle, I want to let you know we have 44 countries watching us.
Wow.
Yes, so Yolanda, thank you for checking in from Belize. We've got Nicholas in Switzerland. We've got Sebastian in Montreal. Claudio, James, everyone, Italy, all over North America and all over the planet. So 44 countries are currently checking us out online.
That is remarkable.
So thank you. Thank you for being a part of this.
That's very cool.
Live Air Show TV. That's us.
LiveAirShowTV.com.
Yeah.
That's us here with Sun and Fun.
Yes, exactly.
Raffle time. Let's talk about it.
All right. What are the prizes?
Look,
lay it out for us, Steph.
I'm ready for this. So, the first prize that you can win is a Bose A20 headset. That's the Bluetooth connection. Very slick. Let's bring up the next 4 weekly passes to SNF with preferred seating.
Like that.
That's a fantastic deal. We also have 4 weekly passes with ACE ambassadors, the flight deck access. So it's and this just keeps getting better and better. And I believe we also have passes, 4 weekly passes with access to the very ritzy 927 Club. I drive by that. Also, I love this one, a ride with the AeroShell demonstration team. And then Rob Ryder, I'll have you do the grand prize.
4 weekly passes to Sun and Fun 22, 4 nights in a hotel, a rental car, air show control VIP level access right underneath the air boss.
Right.
And what a great view that is. And the Aerospace Center for Excellence flight deck passes. So you get everything and more for Sun and Fun 2022. And if you want to enter,
all you have to do is go to www.flysnf.org, and it's no purchase required.
That's right. Absolutely free.
Yep.
I wonder if we could say that real fast. No purchase required.
It's the fine print.
I was going to tell you on the podcast that you do. Not only is it the most widely read article in the magazine, but I will bet that it is the first, because that's what I do when I get the magazine. I go back there and see what I can learn.
Well, we talked to Lisa with Flying Magazine, and she was saying how much she enjoys having the podcast because you really get to get involved in the conversation by hearing pilots tell their stories and offering their sort of anecdotal take in a way that doesn't necessarily come as quickly when you're reading an article. And she said the article's been around for decades and decades, but this new audio format they're very excited about, and it's been very popular. And you can obviously, like you mentioned, Rob, find that fantastic podcast wherever you get your podcasts from.
There we go. Music is on, and it's time for Patrick McAlee, high in the skies over Sun and Fun in his little Peitz S1, 230 horsepowers only, but he does it so well. Interestingly enough, I said, let's talk about your act, and he said, no, I don't want to talk about my act, and I don't want you to talk about my act. Tell him a little bit about my story, about how I learned to fly and all of that, because people see loops all day long and they see hammerheads all day long, and they don't need to hear about that. Talk about me. So that's what we're going to do while Patrick flies in the little S1. And he always knew that he wanted to fly, and he attributed that yearning to his dad and his uncle. As a matter of fact, his dad worked for McDonnell Douglas Aircraft, and then later on in the Gemini program before he was hired by Ozark Airlines to work. So during his childhood, Patrick would fly every chance he could with his dad. And he also helped him build 2 award-winning biplanes. At the age of 5 years, he got really exposed to this type of flying because he went to Oshkosh with his dad, and they attended that every single year after that. Over the years, he continued to fly with his dad, and by 12, he knew what he wanted to do. He wanted to be a real-time aviator. At the age of, I love this, at the age of 16 years old, he was saving for his first airplane. At 16, I was saving for a Vespa motorcycle from Sears. But he wanted to do this, and so he didn't even get a car till he was 17 years old.
Well, that shows where the passion lies.
Exactly. And about, I think it was just 3 months after he got his license, 17 years old, he flew his little Cessna 140 that they had purchased by himself to Oshkosh. Now, Steph, you've been there. Rob, you've been there. You know, it is a big handle to get into Oshkosh. The routes to fly, the instructions they're just rapid nonstop, and you got to be on your toes.
We have Dennis Dunbar joining us tomorrow from EAA Oshkosh live on the set, so I'm looking forward to talking to him about that incredible show.
Yes. Patrick got his commercial and multi-engine ratings the same day when he was 18 years old. And then later that week, he took and got passed for the flight instructor certificate. So he had to slow down, and then he decided, I want to continue building and licensing airplanes. So at 23, he got his A&P license, his airplane and power plant. So this man, he loves to fly, he loves to build airplanes, and he always has wanted to fly in air shows, and that's what he's doing today. Incidentally, he went out and took lessons from our good friend, Sean D. Tucker.
That's talk about the pinnacle of instruction for aerobatics, for hardcore, down and dirty power aerobatics.
Let me see. I'm going to see if I can talk to him. Let me see. Patrick, are you up on the street, sir?
I'm up. How are you doing? Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Got a little echo there, but you got the little Peitz running, my friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it, man. I was slow a little bit, so I had to kind of elevate, but I wanted to say hello, everybody at Sun and Fun. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for coming out. You know, I got a little bit of a story. It's pretty awesome. About 30 years ago, I had this dream that I wanted to be an AeroShell pilot, fly at Oshkosh, fly a sided flight, fly with people like Michael Goulian, Patty Wagstaff. And this is a dream come true, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here for you today. And I appreciate so much of each and every one of you. And this is truly the American dream for me.
Oh, there you go. He is living the dream.
So I'll just fly around here for just a second. I'll take you up with me. Also, about 30 years ago was the first time I've actually had both my father and my sister at an air show. That was when I was at Oshkosh, and I would go up there as a little boy and see everybody, all my favorite performers and absolute heroes. But thank you so much, everybody, for making this young man's dream come true. We couldn't do it without our airshow fans.
Okay, thank you so much for talking with us. I was telling everybody the little Peitz S1 is...
Amazing wife who really has been the brains behind all of this. She's been really the biggest support system with our business, and I couldn't love and have more of a dream girl than my wife. And my daughter at home watching the live stream on live Airshow TV. To my father, my sister, my wife, and my mom in heaven, this one's for you.
All righty, and particularly to Natalie. Way to go, my friend. You're flying well, and you're looking good. Like I said, it's only 230 horsepower in that little S1. Weighs almost 900 pounds. But he flies it so very, very well. And you can tell that this is indeed his passion. His wife, Natalie, comes from a pop culture background and has developed 2 children's coloring books and reading books. So she's right in there with her passion, and they're both living their dream. You can follow him on Instagram at Extreme Flight, Facebook.com at Extreme Flight 45, YouTube Patrick McAlee, and it's spelled M-C-A-L-E-E, but pronounced McAlee. And on Twitter at Extreme Flight 45. Patrick McAlee Air Shows. Series of rolls there. He puts the little Peitz through its maneuvers. I know you're learning to fly, Steph, other than, and I know you've flown with the Blues, and you did that BFM and all of that. Have you done any aerobatics in smaller airplanes?
Sean Tucker's rung my bell a couple of times.
Oh, okay.
So yes, I've had the really good fortune to be able to fly with someone who is obviously iconic in the industry, and I look up there like I'm catching flies. My mouth is open so wide, but just the grin, you just can't beat it. So it is something I wish everyone who wanted to do it would have the opportunity to experience it, because as you know, the G's, they snap on and they snap off, right? But boy. Yep. Especially with someone like Sean and how aggressively he flies, you're going to get put through your paces when you fly with him. So I can appreciate watching this.
Hey, I think Patrick's still talking. I missed him. I thought he was finished. I turned him down. I cut him off.
Oh, that's all right. Let him concentrate on his flying.
He's down again.
Sean Tucker gave me my first aerobatic lesson in a Peitz.
Ooh,
yeah,
really?
Yeah, and that was interesting. I went out had dinner with he and his bride, my wife and myself, and went out and got 2 hours, and then waited a couple of hours, and then flew 2 more hours.
How'd you hold up?
I was going to ask the same question, because I couldn't do that.
I held up fine, because I was doing the flying.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It makes a big difference.
You keep describing it as the little Peitz, but it's got a lot of power.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Look at this tumble.
It's got some birds up there.
Got it, you got it, you got it. Come on, come on. Don't blow up on me down. Don't blow up on me. It's like on me power, baby.
No wonder he didn't want me to describe his act.
Okay, thank you, everybody. You have a great day.
That's it. Okay. He's an excited young man.
He's having fun.
Yes,
that's the bottom line. He's having fun.
It's not work when you love what you do.
And he's going to land, and I'm going to end up throwing it right back at you, Larry, in a minute here, because AeroShell is going to be starting pretty quickly. And thanks, if you will, if I may, to Sporty's Pilot Shop's 60th anniversary, 6 decades, and I invite you to check sporties.com on the web every week for specials that are taking place during this 60th anniversary celebration for Sporty's Pilot Shops. Also, thanks to the Hartzell Propeller Company of Piqua, Ohio. Thanks, you guys. Family owned and operated since 1917. The entire Cirrus line flies with Hartzell propellers, and Michael Goulian flies with Hartzell propellers. A bunch of RV folks I know fly with Hartzell propellers, including the Claw that the Redline guys fly. That's a heck of a propeller. Built on honor, the Hartzell Propeller Company and Sporty's Pilot Shops, making it possible for me to be here at Sun and Fun. Steph, I know that Vans is close, near and dear to your heart.
They're in my backyard in Oregon.
That's right. And Richard Van Grunsven took a Stitz Playboy back in the 70s and turned it into the most popular amateur-built airplane in the history of aviation. Nearly 11,000 built, and this RV-12 is now approved for flight training.
Do you know that he actually commutes occasionally to and from work in his RV-12? It's the best thing. You see him rolling around the shop. He's like, I just took the airplane in. Of course you did, sir. Of course you did. The way those planes are designed, it's fantastic. I have to tell you something though, really quick. Larry keeps trying to hand me a script to announce, and I keep telling him I'm not doing it. He just tried to put it in my hands.
Really?
Said, no, sir. No, sir, I'm not doing that. I think all of us, we can, no matter what our touch point is for aviation, perhaps you're in the military, we've got these amazing fighter jets behind us. You've had a chance to watch the Blue Angels fly. If military is your touch point to aviation, or if it's general aviation, like we're talking about with Vans Aircraft, Peitz, all sorts of amazing airframes out there, or you just love the spectacle and the entertainment of it, we just welcome one and all. And so to have this broadcast go out today and to be seen by so many different countries is absolutely a treat. It's been a lot of fun to be a part of this.
I've been doing television since I was 22 years old.
I watch your stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, I was a younger man. I had a lot more hair, and the voice was a lot more agile than it is now.
All right, looky here. A lot of smoke coming off the runway, ladies and gentlemen.
You got it, Larry.
This is the AeroShell Aerobatic team. I love these guys. In addition to being the nicest guys in the world, they fly a 4-ship formation that's going to knock your socks off. A lot of smoke and a lot of noise, and I guarantee you, you're going to like it. Incidentally, the smoke, a lot of people ask us, what is that? And it's a very, very lightweight oil called Corvus oil. It's a machine oil. It's carried on board the aircraft in a tank, and there is a pump attached to that tank. And when the pilot wants smoke, he just squeezes the trigger, and it shoots the oil directly into the exhaust pipe of the engine. These are T6s or SNJs, whatever you want to call them, because they were the T6s in the United States Army Air Corps. The Navy used them, and they were SNJs, basically the same airplane. AeroShell team led by Mark Henley. The right wing is Brian Reagan, the left wing Steve Gustafson, and the slot is Jimmy Fordham. Alan Henley, good friend of mine, was the founder and the team leader for many, many years for the AeroShell Aerobatic team. 24 years at the helm. And unfortunately, in late July of 2008, Alan suffered a fall that paralyzed him from the chest down after he had accumulated over 4,000 hours in the T6. Great gentleman and maker of this team. Look at the beautiful shots we're getting from airborne images, onboard images. The AeroShell team. First, they'll be in for a diamond formation loop. I want you to watch them now as they come to show center. And I want you to see how tight this formation is. Smoke is on from the right. That's Mark in the lead. Brian Reagan. Watch, here we go. Big old barnstormers loop. Pulling about 4 Gs on that. They'll come up over the top, be just negative for a second as they round it out, and then back down. Now, Mark McGann of Onboard Images puts cameras all over and inside airplanes, and we've got some great images. Probably, well, I hope you saw the little roll that we had earlier on of all of 20 years of images. Formation barrel roll now as they approach show center, back on the stick, and start in with a little left aileron and left rudder and roll it around on the old barrel roll. Just imagine a 55-gallon drum lying on its side out there, and they're just flying around the outside of that. Now here comes my favorite maneuver, and it's beautiful. It's called the downward bomb burst. You got the camera ready? Because they're going to come back across center field, make about a 45-degree right turn, climb, and as they are on the back side of that bomb burst, Mark is going to call ready, break. And then you'll see all 4 aircraft off to all 4 directions, different directions. All right, now watch Mark as he carefully makes a right turn a little bit. Back on the stick. We start to climb. He'll call for smoke on. And then you'll hear ready, break for the bomb burst. Executed as they exit 4 different directions. Now from the left and from the right, ships 2 and 3 in the opposing loops. Now watch, they're coming head on. They're looking for one another. As they cross, they're going to pull back hard on the stick. Now up over the top, they'll be looking over their shoulder to find the other airplane and then start the downward motion of the maneuver, making sure that they've got plenty of clearance on both sides of the airplane. Now 1 and 5 in after that maneuver, and what they're going to do is a snap roll on the top of a loop. Watch closely. T6 a little slower than the Peitz in a snap roll, but at the top he'll call for it, and there's the snap. Actually, the airplane is stalled momentarily there. High to your left, the 2 lead aircraft, and now the other 2 to join up for an in-trail pass. As they pass by now, give them a giant wave, get a good picture. In the lead is Mark Henley from Birmingham, Alabama. From Phoenix, Arizona, Brian Reagan flying number 2. Steve Gustafson from Tallulah, Louisiana. And at number 4, Jimmy Fordham from Monroe, Louisiana. The AeroShell Aerobatic team sponsored by Honda Generators, Traded Plane, Goodyear, AeroShell, Champion Spark Plugs, Warrior Bonfire Programs, Genesis, Aerospace Cardiology. They've got a lot of people that support them because they know this team brings them business. All right, joining up now to come back for a Finger 4 slide barrel roll. Very difficult maneuver. I want you to watch the outside airplane, the furthest from you as they go up into this barrel roll. He is going to slide into position midway through the formation and go to the slot. This, ladies and gentlemen, is very, very difficult. Up we go, and now sliding into that slot position is Jimmy Fordham. Now, from that position, they're going to bring it back around for a nice photo pass for you with the smoke on. You get a good opportunity to get a look at the bottom side of the T6 Texan or the SNJ. Here we go. AeroShell. Now as they exit, they're going to set up for a diamond formation loop and a Cuban 8 brake. I'll explain that to you if you are unaware of what a Cuban 8 is. Basically, it's a maneuver outlining an 8 lying on its side, 2 loops put together. High from the right now comes Mark Henley, Brian Reagan, Steve Gustafson, and Jimmy Fordham in the formation loop to a Cuban 8 brake. Very, very tight formation. Smoke is on. Mark calls ready pull. Up over the top once again on onboard images, giving you a leader's eye view of the AeroShell Aerobatic team. Now we come to the Cuban 8 brake. There goes lead, then number 2, number 3, and number 4. On the downside, they'll roll that airplane back to right side up, cross show center at exactly the same altitude they went in. People like the noise of these aircraft. And it's not the engine, it's the tip of the propeller. It's going almost supersonic, and that's what makes the noise of the T6 Texan. We're in trail now, what we call in trail, or follow the leader. You do as I do, and we'll just do a trail loop for you here. I'm going to pull, and I'm going to be looking back over my shoulder to see where the other 3 airplanes are in the case of the lead by Mr. Mark Henley. They've all got each one of them inside as they bring it down to show center again. Like I said, the noise and smoke, the best thing, plus, well.
You are so right.
Yeah. The formation is the best thing about it, but boy, it sure adds to have that smoke and that noise. Here we are once again. Up over the top. And the barrel roll maneuver. They'll be doing a half Cuban 8 turnaround. They'll be pulling back on that stick up over the top. And And then they're going to put the wheels up for landing. You say wheels up for landing? Well, you just watch. That's exactly what they're going to do. As they roll to the inverted, Mark will call gear now. And the gears are coming up.
Now, I don't know if Dave Keim is still on the line with us. Dave, are you there by any chance? Because if it's not gear up or gear down, he figured out the way to say it right no matter what happened.
Well, how does he do that?
You extend the gear.
Okay, very good. That concludes, ladies and gentlemen, the AeroShell Aerobatic team. Mark Henley, Brian Reagan, Steve Gustafson, and Jimmy Fordham. I'll tell you what, with T6s, nobody does it better. Gosh, I love the onboard images. Brings a whole perspective to air show spectators.
Thank you, Mark McGinn, Angela, for doing that.
We're about ready to wrap up here, but things are going to happen tomorrow and tomorrow night, Steph.
Absolutely, we're back again. We're doing the broadcast again. We've got everybody flying, and the night show tomorrow night should be an absolute treat. Really looking forward to it. And as always, you know, for everyone who is watching the broadcast, no matter where you are watching from, join in the conversation, let us know, check in. That's been really, really fun to see that sort of move on social media. So we do appreciate that.
Someone is actually watching right now from Orlando, Florida.
How about that?
And I know that her name is Mrs. Strain.
That's wonderful.
Indeed. Look at that. They're keeping it. That's a wheel landing. Yep. And watch the tail wheel come down here as he bleeds off the airspeed. 3, 2, 1. And not even yet. There it goes.
Let's see if we get a burnout. You know, they do a magic act.
They did. I think we're in store for them.
Okay. So just stay with us for a few minutes, because I think, when they get on the taxiway, we need a camera turned around to spotlight on them, because they're going to do a little magic act for us. They love doing this.
I know what's coming.
They're focused now. That's Brian Reagan in number 2, and he's just been around for. All of these guys have been around for so many years, with 30 years plus as a team, and Brian had been with the Red Baron Squadron for a long time.
I remember the Red Barons.
Yeah, flying their Stearman biplanes, the Super Stearmans, for Red Baron Frozen Pizza, and Mark, who is Alan's brother, the team founder, and Steve Gustafson, and Jimmy Fordham. Gene McNeely, who opened the show, used to fly slot for these guys.
So for the camera guys, can we get a wide shot? Yeah, we'll get a wide shot as they come up out there, and all 4 get parked. We need a wide shot for that.
They'll get it, because I see a top camera there ready for it.
All right.
Once they get in position, let's listen.
This is our magic.
Smoke now.
Smoke now. There you go.
Now.
All right, watch. Now you see them. And now you don't.
And stand up.
And stand up is what he said. And that's exactly what they're going to do.
You watch. Those canopies will be open, and you will see 4 pilots standing in the seats waving right there.
But if you're downwind, will we see it?
They're coming into focus now. I can see number 4, Jimmy Fordham, Steve Gustafson, Brian Reagan, and there's Mark Henley. There they are.
Yeah.
Hey, this has been a great first day, you guys. Thanks to everybody who made it possible. But I sure appreciate working with you guys. You guys are super.
Thank you. Super Blues.
I have enjoyed this so much, my friend. I'm glad to be here.
We have a lot more in store for you coming up over the next few days. We cannot wait to see you back for the broadcast tomorrow. Lots to cover.
I'm Rob Ryder.
I'm Larry Strain.
And I'm Steph Strickland. Everyone, have a fantastic night.
Good night, all.